I'm rad as hell, and I'm not going to fake it anymore!
There's no need for an artist to apologize about just giving us something that is passionate and beautiful and funny or any of those. No need to apologize for that. So the historian says it's not my business, and the businessman says it's not my business, and the lawyer says it's not my business, and the artist says it's not my business, and whose business is it? You're going to leave the business of the most important issues in the world to people who run the country? I mean, how stupid can you be? I see all sorts of people who are doing this and doing that and doing this and that. Where are citizens among us?
Oh shit, guys! It's the 6th season of the Low Life podcast. How did it happen?
We're back.
Why are we still here?
It's not my fault. You can't blame me.
Yeah,
because we already got through 5 of them. So.
It's just muscle memory at this point. I just gotta just show up.
Transpiring.
Yeah.
Number go up.
Time keeps on ticking to the future as it's.
Anyway,
I
hear.
Yeah. It's a flat planet. That's a spoiler for a movie. Anyhow, so this coin ops fucking back. Made the mistake of Googling my name. Turns out there is a program or company or hackers or something that do something called coin ops, which is basically just like WAD files of like all these old games.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm like, if you came first, sorry. And if I came first, I'm not changing it. You don't have to change it. I ain't gonna cause any problems. It's fine. I'm here with Scum.
Hello. I'm tired and anxious and I think our listeners can relate to the existential dread.
That's the energy we're trying to bring to the episode, Scum.
I mean, we're only talking about the end of the fucking world today.
Yeah. Spoilers. It grew. Proof.
It's morning in America. And
which was my favorite song by Supertramp. Wait, no, that was a different
that's
one.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Scum.
Also
Let's
here
lighten
with
it up a little bit. Jesus.
also
Not
here
like
with
the world
Dan.
thing.
What are you gonna start singing fucking Fortunate Son now?
Well, no, I was thinking, is this, really Butte, Montana, or is this existential blues? So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all I can do is laugh because I'm tired of crying.
True. That's why I'm drinking.
Big same.
And finally, Zero.
Welcome back once again, listeners, citizens, and society as a whole. Are you ready to crumble?
I like it.
Because today we're having our first episode of the Low Life Book Club, in which we all read the same book and then talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm. Which, if you're not a librarian, that's how book clubs work. So
we decided for our first one, we'd do a book, Everything Must Go, The Stories We Tell About the End of the World by Dorian Lynskey. Full disclosure, I don't think I mentioned it to you guys, but I found out about this book. This book was my suggestion from watching somebody much cooler than me reading it, which is kind of how I find out a lot about a lot of music, about a lot of different books that I pick up. And yeah, it was dense.
Yeah.
That's
and
read.
There's a lot there. Yeah.
And it was.
I didn't even get to finish it. I have a lot to read on my end. I got to chapter 5. Every chapter is a fucking meal.
Yeah.
Well, I think I banged it out almost in one sitting.
I don't know.
I had the time.
Real.
I had the time. And that's why I don't have legs anymore. They just rotted off. But no, I read this in slightly longer than it took me to read The Martian, which was like an afternoon with beer. And the thing about we're going to get into everything, but the most important thing comes at the very, very end of the book, very, very, very end of the acknowledgments and everything. The entire time I would look at the book, would hear "Everything Must Go" by the Manic Street Preachers. Every time. And if I wasn't hearing the original cut of the song, I was hearing the Massive Attack remix of the song. And if I wasn't hearing that, I was hearing the Chemical Brothers remix of the song. That was the opening song for, I believe, the first Gran Turismo game. I've been addicted to this song for decades. And at the very end of the book, he's like, no, while I do really like Manic Street Preachers and I enjoy their music, that's not where I got this.
That's right. He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I was like, all right, buddy.
Just a level
I owe you a pint.
Just a level of sense of humor. He kind of approaches the subject.
Dorian Lynskey's a cultural critic, a commentator. He's been in a lot of different publications. I don't have them handy, of course. What else were some of the other books he mentioned that he had read that you're going to come on dive into?
Well, I mean, he had written his other books. He did I want to read both of them. One's called 33 Revolutions Per Minute, A History of Protest Songs from Billie Holiday to Green Day, which sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
And he also did The Ministry of Truth, a biography of George Orwell's 1984, which
maybe
it wasn't. It doesn't have anything to do with the Raoul Peck documentary Orwell 2 + 2 = 5. Like, the fact that they both kind of came up with this at the same time, I did some digging to see if they consulted each other or had like referenced each other or anything like that, but it wasn't that at all. I don't know, man. Like I just.
He put out 4 books last year, I guess. Besides this one, Everything Must Go. He put out Centrism, The Story of an Idea, Fascism, The Story of an Idea, and Conspiracy, The Story of an Idea. So
I know he didn't write those all in a year, but hearing that, and after reading some of this book, how? There's so much research.
It's channeling Asimov or something.
Yeah, there's like so much research in every single aspect of this book, like so many references of history and literature.
It was like 2 years in the writing and the putting it on the paper.
That checks out.
For me, it took up the most of my reading bandwidth for the last 4 months of last year. I kind of did a thing where I set a goal of what I wanted to have read by the end of the week, and if I didn't have it read, then I listened to the audiobook because he recorded the audiobook for it. It's interesting, but
nice.
Yeah, that kept me kind of on track when I wasn't able to crack the book. I was able to pick it up and listen to it. But yeah, one of the first. Let's just kind of dive right into it. What did you guys think about it? How did you find it? We said it was dense. It was a lot to get through. There was a lot of what I like was there's enough stuff that I knew. There was enough stuff that I knew about, and there was enough stuff that was new to me. That it was a mix of all 3 of sort of those things, and seeing the way he kind of threaded the needle between those, for me, was really interesting, and it kept me coming back to it.
This feels like I love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think when we were talking about our favorite story, like the stories that brought us here and stuff like that, I mentioned Dale Bailey's The End of the World as We Know It. And the reason why I love that book in particular is because he kind of arrives at some of like the same conclusions that story does. And he's also approaching it in a very similar way. It's not that, this sense of everything ending, like it's always been there. We've always had that. It's because we're mortal. So we have that kind of thread riding over top of us. But underneath it all, you can see systemic breakdown, like gestures broadly. But it's, Dale Bailey's thing was apocalypse happens all the time. It happens. It will happen for you. It will happen for people you love, like just on down the line. It'll happen for things that you used to go to. There's a restaurant that just closed around here, and I'm bummed out about it. The place I used to buy my smokes on the way to work just closed down, which crazy. There's a hole in that building now for me. And it's just, that's a little apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I took a couple of things from it. Number one, I got a list of a whole bunch of new authors that are.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
As if the stack by the bedstead is not already tall enough.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. But he mentions the author Philip Wiley, a sci-fi author from the 1940s, quite a bit, but his cultural critique called Generation of Vipers, in which he takes apart American society of the 1940s and 50s. I've got that on my read pile right now, and it is just as applicable today as it was in 1950, which is very interesting to me. But your point, quite honest, but the world is always ending, and that's the thing. That one of the big takeaways I took from this book is that we're always overreacting and saying the world is going to end, and it's not going to. It's not. It's fine. It's just it's just like this.
We're still like this. There's still going to be a world even if we're not on it. It's kind of
exactly
like speciocentrism.
I'll underline that. One of the things that I really liked is he talks about apocalypse as the end of something, not the end of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like portents of doom. Like my favorite chapters are the ones that cover like, holy shit, there's a light in the sky, or holy shit, there's could be an asteroid that hits us. And that's the apocalypse for a lot of people, where they equate either something bad happened after this random fucking event, or they just look at it and say, never saw that before. Something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
Make a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I gravitated to the nuclear war one because of being Gen X and the day after and all of that. I really wanted to see how he played that.
That is the meatiest section, the part 3, the bomb. And being someone who is very immersed in a lot of that lore knowledge, I still found really interesting things. I found really interesting focus that he put on different people. We'll get to it in a bit, but yeah, that was a really well done section.
Oh yeah, and that it also reminded me of the train crash in East Palestine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember seeing any of the photographs from that, and the fact that that happened like a week after I had seen the Netflix White Noise, which is about a toxic train crash in Ohio. I was like, what's reality anymore? Am I an NPC?
It's a documentary, but it's a
and what's really interesting about that, in Fallout 76 right now, they've just rolled out a thing when they brought Ohio into the picture, where there's a whole thing about Abraxas Chemical having tanker trucks spilling crap all over the place, and this. So I mean, it's like they worked it in.
Yeah, sons of bitches.
It's almost like the simulation just isn't even trying anymore.
I know, right?
Those were called omens back in the day.
It just made me think of all that like, your Alex Joneses and their predictive programming. It's like in the movie Oblivion or something, and I'm just like, no, I literally watched a movie about a train wreck in Ohio, and a week later it happened. That's the strongest argument you could ever have for this, and you didn't use it.
Yeah, because that's what the human mind, I guess, kind of does. We kind of connect dots to things that have nothing to do with, like, with the Comet one, like, people, like, I think it was like 1099, like, he literally, like, again, there's so much history in this book, but he goes into, like, people thought, like, a comet predicted the death of, like, King Harold II or something.
Oh yeah,
even though I'm sure he was, like, very sick and weird.
the one
Comments are evil portents, dude. It is known.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first, like, weaning myself from SSRI shocky moment was when he pulled together the conditions in which Mary Shelley was writing Frankenstein, why it was so cold,
right?
And you have this volcano in South America that goes off, and it fucking puts so much ash in the air that you have that frozen summer in England when they went off to go write their shit in Croatia or whatever.
Year without a summer.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'd never ever put those two together, and I had to put the book down, go outside, have a cigarette, look at the squirrels.
Didn't like stop Napoleon's forces at one point because everyone just looked at the sky and was like, "Holy shit!"
Like, I mean, come on. I mean, I would.
Yeah, like, give us another one. Let's cool the planet down. Come on, volcanoes. Let's go.
Well, it's funny. I just had someone, a science fiction author that I know, was putting out a question to the bunch of us: is how long would a winter last if an asteroid hit the planet?
Yeah,
and I went back to this year without a summer. I said that was just an active volcano.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's so many parameters involved in that. Okay, how big an asteroid? where does it
Right.
hit the planet? Because we all associate like asteroid impacts, or at least a lot of people do, with, it's going to hit the land, it's going to leave a crater because that's what we're used to seeing. I hate to tell you all this, but the Earth's mostly water.
Water. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it hits the Pacific Ocean, which by the way is its own hemisphere, look at a globe. It's amazing how big the Pacific Ocean is.
Yeah.
And that's even more catastrophic, especially if it's large. If it's dinosaur ending sized asteroid.
Yeah, who up here representing Gerard Butler in Greenland? Anybody else here excited about the sequel? I am. I like the
Excited
first
might not be
movie.
the right word.
I like the first movie. I like
Wait,
I like
current
Gerard
events
Butler,
again?
man.
We do switch to current events all of a sudden.
No, movie releases. Movie releases.
Got
Comments.
going to be
more
apocalypse
comments.
in
No, this
Greenland.
is
but
about a
no,
book.
it's
Not everything is about a movie, Coinhouse.
It's predictive programming.
Book about a lot of movies.
Yeah, there were a lot of movies in this book. I'm glad
Okay.
you suggested this one. It really got me thinking about things. It also had me lighten up a little bit. I mean, not that things aren't bad. I don't want to be a Pollyanna about this.
Yeah.
But everyone keeps talking about, well, it's the end of everything. And it is not either. And if there's one thing that got me thinking through this is, we do like to talk about cyberpunk occasionally on this show. It was interesting that there's no cyberpunk thread in this book at all.
Mhm.
And I think it's because cyberpunk is always about what comes after.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
teases
interesting.
a little bit when he talks about kind of like the world that LA is in Blade Runner at one point.
Yes,
I remember
I agree
one
with that,
reference.
yes.
Yeah. But he doesn't run a whole thread in it because there's different things that cyberpunk is trying to do. Like there are for sure apocalyptic events that happen in cyberpunk stories, but they're not as relatable as the oceans rose or even something as crazy as
It's not
Vonnegut's Ice
sudden
9.
either. It's always
Right.
a long tail of into nothingness. It's not with a bang but a whimper.
Yeah.
It's like when the volcano went off, but in people like basically the world, people believed, and Mary Shelley even I think to a degree also, like people believed the world was ending for like what, a year, like entirely, like, and there was really no way to disprove that it was, because like holy shit, it's cold, the sky's black, the sun is not coming out, so just
All
an
the
average
crops
day in the
are
UK.
failing.
Yeah, like people were
was-
legitimately starving. People were, the apocalypse cults were springing up, or like back in the medieval era was when like people, this dude saw a fucking comet and just started like a Jim Jones cult in like what 1000 or something. Like it was, cyberpunk doesn't usually cover, like you were saying, like it covers the after where we've kind of
Right.
all like, yep, the world ended, but it doesn't come up with like the long drawn out. I mean, we all know what this is because we all lived through COVID. But it doesn't cover the long drawn out and weird period of
The
just
slow apocalypse.
madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sheer madness of
That's-
like
Yeah.
either
Will McIntosh wrote a great book called Slow Apocalypse, which is one that I would love to get you guys to
That'd be
read
cool.
sometime, because it's all about things winding down.
Yeah.
But that is another book for another time.
Yeah.
Well, to give you a little taste of this one, again, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the way the topics are all broken up, because again, it's very dense. The book has 7 parts and 21 chapters. Go through a couple of these. Part 1, The Last Man. Part 2, Impact. Part 3, The Bomb. You can see he's breaking these up. Part 4, Machines. Part 5, Collapse. Part 6, Pandemic. Part 7, Climate.
last
I
Man
kind of
was
took
awesome.
my notes a little along this sort of line. I can kind of talk about each section if you guys have something you want to add into it. Doesn't have to be like, specifically 100% to the order, but
Take us through.
in the first section, his introduction, apocalypse all the time, sounds like a great party. But I like the part where he's talking about Adam McKay, who's doing the press junket
Don't Look
for Don't Look Up. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, again, not a huge DiCaprio fan. Really like him in this one. But when he starts talking about the gilded rage that we're living through, he says it's, quote, the great awfulization or the gilded rage. You can just really call it collapse culture. That like really sets the tone for where the book is going to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, pretty much that movie is it feels overly long, and yet I can't think of what to cut from it.
Yeah.
But it has some great moments, and I like the finish. For it not to have finished that way would have been a disappointment, you know.
But I like
but it
his
was
point
one of
about
those.
collapse culture.
Yeah,
Mhm. Doomerism.
yeah.
Sorry. Well, yeah,
And kind of to
just
that
this
point-
this constant drone. I'm sorry. I should be signaling. We're on camera now.
We've got new technology, listeners.
Right.
We can see
So-
each other, but you can't see us. That's the point.
I guess the place that I was going is that this constant drone drumbeat, whether it's doom scrolling or whatever, that everything is ending all the time, and yet if you just turn it off and walk outside, you know,
Well, that was a
Things are-
Bill Hicks bit.
okayish, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's
Bill-
Yeah.
He had that whole, you know, you turn on CNN, it's war, AIDS, famine, death, you know, war, and then you go outside and it's just birds.
Mhm.
And there's something to that, but at the same time, that, you know, you can take that too far the wrong way and feel like you're not connected to everything around you.
Yeah.
And here we are, you know, finding out that the microplastics from all straws aren't what's actually killing us. It's fucking tires, which we're never going to get rid of. So, hey, good work, guys.
Mhm.
You know, like there is something to be said for the doomerism, because it does one of two things to a person. It either absolutely makes them give up completely and just descend into, you know, lethargy. But like the other thing is, it could piss you off and get you motivated and get you want to fucking doing something and keep doing something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I would
And
like to
it's
see more of that.
It's great
because
that
everybody
you-
thinks that you want to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's great that you mentioned that, because I saw an interview of Dorian Lynskey talking about the book. And
Oh,
it's one
wow.
of the things he wants underlined is what is the utility of fear? Like, yes,
Mhm.
it's a useful tool up to a point, but where do we go once that tool has been applied? How do you move past just the shock and awe of using that as a blunt instrument?
Well, yeah. And there's like a part A and B to that too. You know, like the part A is people who are motivated by doom sometimes make the mistake of thinking that this one act will change things,
Mhm.
not realizing that there's 8.5 billion of us in these various systems. And you know, the other thing is it's a marathon. Like you have to get involved and stay involved and do things in order to kind of push against it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that your point about it causing one of two reactions, I see that a lot right now.
Mm.
Well, even last year after the results of the election.
Yeah, I see it in myself.
Well,
Mhm.
but the thing that gets me is that I know people who talk about leaving the country.
Mhm.
You know, the fear is to the point that they're going to leave the country. These are American citizens. The ones that have said it to me are white,
Mhm.
straight,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and no one's coming for them.
The guys who have nothing to lose. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the
How
people who
privileged
have
of
nothing
them.
to lose are the ones that want to run. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. You take that privilege and you use it to help someone who doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the flip side is, no, fuck this. I'm fighting. And I don't know. There's this, again, the creeping doom. I think your point is spot on, Koidops, that I want to see more of the punk fighting and less of the, oh no, I have to run away. Now, if you're in a group that's under fire, absolutely. I get
100%.
that.
Yeah.
But
And
the
what
rest-
can we do to help?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's
It's
yeah.
interesting because we are like this incredibly imperialistic, incredibly privileged and rich, very rich, not for
Mhm.
most of us, but
and propagandized.
yeah,
Yeah.
that like we don't know how to deal with, in ISIS's case, the tactics that we've used abroad to subjugate citizens.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a slow process, but yeah, like as someone who wakes up and stares at the ceiling and cries, like myself, it's you have to find motivation where you can, and it's basically like I might be scared and anxious and depressed, but I'm not a fucking coward.
Pro tip,
Yeah.
buddy, just try crying in the shower.
Yeah.
Oh
Take
no,
a
so
beer
that's
in
what-
with
Much
you.
cleaner
yeah.
that way.
It's like
You
a
know what I'm
spa day then. You can cry,
Yeah.
you can drink your beer.
Oh
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
Have your shower orange.
Yeah.
Sure. That's
but-
something you do?
But again,
No,
they
but
try and
I've heard
kind of
it.
put a focus back on
Yes.
the the apocalyptic stories that
Yeah, much lighter subject.
that we seem to keep returning to, like as a culture. There's a part
Yeah.
here in the introduction where he quotes J.G. Ballard. From the deluge in the Babylonian zodiac myth of Gilgamesh to contemporary fantasies of 20th century superscience, there has clearly been no limit to our need to devise new means of destroying the world we inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, that quote actually got me thinking a lot about what some of the stuff that Kim Stanley Robinson has written, specifically 2040 and the Ministry for the Future, which
Yeah.
are, you know, they're about doom, but they're about survivable doom and about the steps you take to, you know, I'm big on the what comes after, because
Oh,
it's,
absolutely.
Ministry of the
But
Future, he mentions it in
adored
this
this
book
book.
too,
Yeah.
as kind of one of the more hopeful apocalyptic stories. So
And we did a whole ep about it, and I loved that book. I absolutely. Well, look, Robinson's one of my favorite writers because he's one of the few that can like offer a solution, but like not in a very didactic way. It just kind of evolves naturally out of his narrative and stuff. Like he's very,
Yeah.
very, very fucking good at that.
I like to compare him to Stevenson, except Stevenson's the libertarian, and you know, Robinson's the anarchist.
Yeah. They're two of my favorite goofballs in this game, period.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember the Neil Stephenson sword VR thing, Clang, he was trying to do. The little video for it still makes me laugh to this day. But, 100%, I was just, oh, God. There was a J.G. Ballard short story in this collection of his called, like, Memories of the Space Age or something.
That sounds familiar.
And the very first story was just about I'm getting it wrong, but the gist of it was like they would look up every now and again to see the shooting star, and you figure out that's just this. It's an astronaut. It's just this dude that's been in orbit, dead for fucking years and years and years, and this person on the ground knew them or something. And that is apocalypse to me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that. It's you're the last person of this friend group, and you still see your friend orbiting, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, Ballard's good at making you miserable. He's a bastard. I love him.
I really appreciated this book breaking it down into types.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And taking you through it, because it was
very
neat
organized.
to read the categorization of the way we think of these things.
Yeah.
And where each of them come from, because they're all from a different. So one's from religion, one is from man versus machine. Another, it was very interesting to me.
Some were done out of spite, like that one thing by Lord Byron. Like,
You raise that's a really good point. I like this kind of story, but I've always kind of viewed it as like kids with a parachute in gym class. And like that was the end of the world story, and then the balls that were bouncing around in the middle of it were basically like the one that would fly out. Okay, this one's a fucking comet. Okay, this one's going to be a fire. Okay, this one's going to be rising. They were all a genre. They were just different tools. And to pull it apart like this, I found to be extremely useful, because like you said earlier, I knew some of the stuff in this book. But now I have this massive, like all these fucking YouTube videos that are like an hour and a half long, and that, what was that, Alternative 5 or whatever, or Alternative C or something.
Alternative 3,
Yeah.
I think.
3,
Yeah, I think it was
yeah.
3.
I started watching that. I was like, oh, I need more time, and I need to watch that other one too. Like there are these like movies that are mentioned here that I'd never fucking heard of, and I thought I was the cool guy because I had heard of Threads. Like, oh, this shit's way deeper. Like this book is a useful fucking resource. If you're a writer and you want to have a nice kind of clearinghouse, not even
absolutely.
that, it's more than that. Like,
it's
take everything that you know about the end of the fucking world, and then read this book, and then add 20% to it, and know that both of those combined are the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more out there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the introduction here, kind of to your point, Gru, hit me with this piece of information that, again, I thought that the way that I was able to keep a cheerful demeanor amidst the face of so many horrors was just something I came to on my own. But I think I mentioned before in this podcast to everyone that I read Kurt Vonnegut at a very formative time in my life. And he hits us with this quote from Kurt Vonnegut at the very end here that just completely solidifies everything that I believe, which is, yes, this planet is a terrible mess, but it has always been a mess. There have never been any good old days. There have just been days.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up, is that the cycle of all of this is it's the arc of a human being's life. You know, everything is halcyon days, and then we're too busy to notice, and then the world is ending as we get older, and it's always the older folks telling the younger folks that the world's going to end. You know, and I found that to be really interesting. But there were so many. I really, one of the things I really treasured about this book was bringing out the people from not just Mary Shelley's time, but like that 1890s to 1950s range. That, you know, like again, I'll talk about
less of a spotlight on it. No, I know what you're saying.
Right. Again, Philip Wiley comes up again, but just there's this entire range of literature that I knew nothing about.
Oh yeah,
from
Jack
the
London,
1930s, and Jack London. You know,
he never comes up in these talks.
Right. But, you know, it really reminded me of, I got to go back and read these guys, because, you know, we're not the first people to have this idea, you know, and even though it feels new to us, maybe it doesn't, other people have lived through these times.
Yeah. And kind of, again, segueing nicely, the prologues is entitled God. Kind of neat here. He kind of goes into more of these themes of how apocalypse is change. It's not always an end. And we take like a big deep dive into Christian eschatology. We start with some early apocalypse stuff. Pretty neat. Did anybody have anything you want to pull out of that?
Oh God, I could do like an entire fucking series of podcasts on Christian eschatology. I mean, every sort of religion, especially the major ones, have all of their own end of the world, you know, what comes next scenarios and stuff like that. But just for my money, Christianity does apocalypse the best of all of them, because at its very heart, Christianity is the very belief is that nothing good happens until after you die. So I mean, you don't get your heavenly reward until you kick off.
That's a strong statement, more so than the Hindu apocalypse.
Yes, because if you get into the Hindu apocalypse and you know, like the Bhagavad Gita and stuff like that, their universe is cyclical. So there is a sort of, you know, an ending, and then there's a new beginning.
Good point.
And then that just, you know, you have the year of Brahma and all of that. Whereas with Christianity, it's just done. God's back, and what comes after that? Well, we don't really talk about what comes after. When Jesus is back, what do we do?
Wings, we lounge around on clouds. We learn the harp.
I guess, yeah. Everybody learns how to play harp.
What about Rack?
Is this why Christians are such shitty people down here?
I would think so.
Yeah. They're doing that thing like Scott Adams did, where he just converted to Christianity in spite of the fact that he didn't believe in it because he was hedging his bets.
Yeah. I mean, literally living Pascal's wager. So,
yeah. I do like, too, in the prologue, for how limited it is, he does acknowledge the fact that, like, a lot of these Christian yahoos from back in the day to now made the ruinous mistake of trying to give a date to the end of the world.
Yes. When it's all over biblical scripture that you do not know the date. Only God knows the date.
Okay. Pro tip from the Low Life podcast, okay? If you're trying to do a cult, regardless of whatever underlying belief your cult is, you never put a date to the end of the world.
Right.
Never, ever get a billboard and put it up in Boardman above the Kmart.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point that you put there, Scum. I like in this section, he goes in and starts talking about how there's like a pipeline, almost like the apocalypse conspiracy connection, where like these early cults all were literally a conspiracy in more ways than one. And he brings it right up to, you know, like the 1800s and millenarianism. Like he goes on that for like a minute.
Yeah, he spent some time on that.
I love
There's
them
some
so much.
fuckers I want to talk about someday.
Yeah.
Someday we will, when I reveal my real name.
And then he
that'll make sense in like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
he kind of closes this section out talking about QAnon as an apocalyptic cult, which
Yup.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just listened to their newest episode today, and it was about this woman had basically just like started talking to some people who had been Q-brained, and there was a larger point about like how you get into conspiratorial thinking. And it's something that I really resonate with because I was really into that shit too. Like, you know, and I think everybody at least had like one little note of it, unless you were an ultimate true believer around, say, January 12th, 2001. Or I said September 12th, 2001. You know what I mean? Like, Bush dropped the towers, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. You know, Dick Cheney himself personally plunged the dynamite in Building 7 or whatever. You know, and it's a lot of that stuff happened because that didn't make sense. You know, we were such a gilded age for us. It was 2001. You know,
Bin Laden didn't blow up the project.
Yeah,
and suddenly there are
told the truth, fella.
And suddenly there were a bunch of people who are absolutely experts on what happens when a jet plane flies into a skyscraper, even though that had never fucking happened before.
Right.
I mean, like a prop plane. A prop plane flew into the Empire State Building once, and it just got stuck there. It was just lodged in the side of the goddamn building.
They raised a really interesting point that, like, a lot of the time you get into that kind of thinking when you're losing. You know, like when the thing you're trying to do isn't happening, it's not coming together. And I don't mean that in like a creative way so much as just trying to pay rent.
Yeah.
Just trying to pay a hospital bill. You know, like everything's conspiring against you. You get your car repoed. Everything starts getting desperate. You know, it looks like the system is out to get you, and you start to look for patterns, and you start to look for things that connect all of these things together. And yes, these things exist independently, and they are fucking you. You are being nickeled and dimed to death for sure now more than ever. But like, it can lead you to think that there's a secret cabal of, say, the Christmas Adventure Club, all sitting around a table. Saying "Hail Satan" Santa to each other. You know?
I mean, that's a good segue into the next chapter because, like, part 1 is like literally the last man, and that's kind of what all of this kind of. I think, especially today with like social media and conspiracy brain, it makes you the last man. It makes you alone and
main character syndrome.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah, but it's also like it's lonely. It's an apocalypse of the self, and like this part really resonated with me just because I remember seeing the films that he mentions, like, you know, with was it Vincent Price? Yeah, like Vincent Price and like the Omega Man and all these other films. I saw at a really young age, and those really like resonate with me, like I Am Legend, like and all that. And the way you kind of think about it today, of like it's just. Like, and he opens with fucking Lord Byron, the asshole. And
part 1, The Last
Which is
Man, with
my
2
favorite.
chapters, Darkness and the Last Man. And this is a part where right up front he kind of deep dives into The Year Without a Summer, Byron and Shelley's, you know, tromp across Europe, their contribution to fiction and society, which he kind of highlights the fact that what they gave us was a secular apocalypse, the first time that there was an apocalypse that was not divine or magical or, you know, something else. It was
and bringing it back to like you were saying, coin ops, like Mary Shelley was having her own apocalypse of just mass family death without any real way to prevent it, because it's just like this is just how people died back then. You just go to Italy and get tuberculosis and you drop dead, and like her you know, her husband fucking drowned, her children are dying of disease.
You had 15 kids in the hopes that you kept 3.
I would love to see a biopic, like that entire story of her life.
That would be
she's someone
that would be amazing.
Has woefully not been explored enough in my opinion.
Full of heroes and villains.
Didn't Julia Roberts do that?
Oh,
wasn't there a Mary Shelley movie?
No,
was there?
I thought there was a Mary Shelley movie, but it wasn't Julia Roberts. That was Mary Riley.
She's definitely someone that like to.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
That's right.
What we're talking about.
But to your point about conspiracies and pattern, I mean, it's interesting. The Byron poem "Darkness" is one of my all-time favorite poems. Didn't realize he wrote it out of spite. That just, you know, chef's kiss.
I think that dude was made of spite.
I think that's interesting, is that whenever we run into these existential endings. We have to have a reason for them. And whenever I think about these conspiracies, whether it's QAnon, I always go back to that Alan Moore quote. I have it here. The main thing I learned about conspiracy theory is that conspiracy theorists actually believe in a conspiracy because that is more comforting. The truth of the world is that it is chaotic. The truth is that it is not the Jewish banking conspiracy or the gray aliens or the 12-foot reptiloids from another dimension that are in control. The truth is more frightening. Nobody is in control. The world is rudderless.
Yeah.
So, sorry, David Icke.
No, and that's something that I wind up reflecting on a lot as I see people trying to find the reason that they're out of work and the reason that they can't make money and the reason, the answer is Elon Musk. But,
it's a good start. I mean, if you're looking for a 0.0.
I mean, that's what I was going to say is like, it's kind of like people rubbing up against what is the truth, like how right wingers also hate capitalism just in a stupid way. Of like, you're almost rubbing up against it. You're almost right. Is like there are forces working against you.
If you took one more step, you might get there.
But the idea that there is no pattern, there is no things just happen. Yeah. And it's really hard for the human mind to really come to terms with that because then you have to figure out, well, why do I bother to do anything?
And that
leads to nihilism. Yeah.
Right.
And Carl Sagan had a quote, and I just looked it up. The universe is not required to be in perfect harmony with human ambition. And it's just one of those things, like when the bad things happen to you, you're asking, why me? When the universe is basically saying, why not?
Or isn't saying anything.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my, I'm going to quote one more thing here. One of my favorite quotes comes from another podcaster named Merlin Mann. And he once said something along the lines of, anybody who believes in conspiracy theories has never had to do project management. And that was a coin ops moment for me because I don't smoke. But as soon as I heard that on the podcast, I paused the podcast. I took my AirPods out of my ear, put them down, and then I just went outside and just looked into the trees for a little while.
Oh, yeah, So there was a relatively recent potentially last man that has entered into the canon that I remember at the time wasn't taken well. But looking back on, say, the last 10 years or so, has taken on kind of like there's been a re-examination of it. And it's the captain of the second ship in Sunshine that you never see. Yeah. Yes. You never see. He's always out of focus. They're always, they do this like camera shit. And it's really intense, but like, he states his goals. He wants to be the one to turn out the lights for humanity. He wants to be the last one. He wants to be the last man, and it's not logical. But then I'm looking at the guy who has the launch codes right now fall asleep during press conferences. So I'm like, maybe he wants to be the last one, and this brings me to this thing that I was thinking of earlier too, that this book really made me think of, is that a lot of what we see with conspiracy theories, especially theorists, people who have been following this for a very long time, but like haven't unhitched themselves from it, is that they really want to organize life into a narrative. And a narrative has a climax and a conclusion. And I'm feeling like ever since, conspiracy theory used to be a niche thing. You'd have to go buy a book at a truck stop.
We've
what I mean?
This, yes.
Yeah. You couldn't now that everybody, especially with COVID hitting, everybody was home, didn't have shit to do, and it was easy for any dumb fuck to get a goddamn microphone and start talking into it. And saying that, hey, maybe ivermectin maybe you should eat a Tide Pod. That's the new trend. You know what I mean? And then enough people are going to hear that. And because it's on TV, like network, you're on TV, dummy. Like there is a power there, and people will see these things and take these things as fact and as truth. And the wrong people right now have the mic, like just across the board. I'm seeing, this is so dumb. If I were teaching a class and someone handed the current state of affairs to me as a script, not only would I flunk them, I would end their bloodline. This is awful. Like, this is so bad. You need to go do something else. Like, you need to be useful in society. Do something that people can appreciate, like plowing a road.
Hmm.
You know,
Something.
Yeah, being a mechanic. Do something you're good at, and just listen to music and watch wrestling.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fun.
To that point of creativity, I'll say the the last couple of things he says in this section, he kind of drops the assertion that I agree with 100%. The real creation myth of modern times is not Adam and Eve; it's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not only did Mary Shelley, write the first sci-fi story in Frankenstein, she also wrote the first apocalypse story in The Last Man, which is a pandemic story. So,
which is something I need to try and get a hold of, because as soon as I'm like, why is there a Mary Shelley story I don't know about? Right. I didn't know about it. I didn't know she wrote that, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, fuck you, author. I didn't know that. How dare you? Like Gothic fiction. And
Mr. Lynskey here is just fucking slinging fire from this point on.
Yeah, like this is the reason why if you're an author, if you're listening to this, you probably are. Hi. You should read this book. Like, unfortunately, as a writer, you have to know things. And
this is a fun way to do it, man. Like, you're not going to find a more enjoyable way to read about the end of times, or why a lot of this is why we do it.
So many references, so many things that you
your to be read list is gonna
it's gonna be stupid.
It is.
It's dumb.
It's the kind of research that you can read without having. Being an author, it's the kind of thing that you can read without having to worry about stealing ideas accidentally. Like, he's just laying all of this out. It's not anything that you're going to read and like.
Get your brain
as we've long said in the historical community, as long as you have a footnote and a bibliography, you've stolen nothing.
Right.
So but it's something that kind of occurred to me while y'all were sitting here talking about The Last Man and things like that. Back in the earlier in the book, when he talks about the religious apocalypses and stuff, he mentions some of the other apocalypses that didn't make it into the Bible. The thing you need to realize is the reason that the Revelation of John is in the Bible is because that was the least batshit apocalypse that they could find. All of the other apocalypses are just absolutely batshit insane. But one of them that I read recently, the translation, they refer to Satan as the person who is in charge, or the angel that is in charge of the last things. And it's basically Satan who turns the light out on the world, which, is kind of interesting that, he also is known as Lucifer, the light bringer and stuff like that.
Well, he's the light bringer. He's bringing it over there now. He's bringing it away from you. Maybe that was the point of the guy in Sunshine.
Yeah.
They're taking that literal sort of, I love that shit. Is that from like the Apocrypha?
Oh yeah, totally from the Apocrypha.
It's
not from. I'd have to look it up because I read it like 3 or 4 days ago. It was basically a treatise more than it was like like your standard apocryphal tale. But it was absolutely an apocryphal tale. I mean, if you're into apocalypse literature and you haven't read the Apocalypse of the Virgin, treat yourself. It's short. It's easy to get through. It's Dante's Inferno, probably a good 1,000 years before Dante ever lived. Because it's literally like Mary prays and she says, "Hey, I'd like the Archangel Michael to come take me through hell." And because she's the Virgin Mary, the Archangel Michael just takes her through hell. And then you find out what hell's like.
God, now you're making me think of, get the Bible according to Mark Twain.
Yes.
There's this letters back or like journal entries from Adam and Eve, and she's describing this like insanely beautiful day and the waterfalls and the unicorns and all this shit, and then it goes to Adam's and it just goes pulled through. it's one of my favorites. I'm sorry, but definitely.
Yeah, that is one of the things I always try and talk to biblical realists, biblical literalists about. I'm just like, this shit ain't the first draft, right? It's like hella abridged.
It's not even the third translation. I mean, come on.
Look up the Nicene Council.
They wrote this shit via council.
John the Revelator. He was John of Patmos, right?
John of Patmos. Yeah.
Okay, so John of Patmos is to Howard Beale what the other guys are to the guy they were trying to replace Howard Beale with in black and white standing on the hill.
Yeah, I mean, that's weirdly accurate because Patmos, like John of Patmos, they're like, yeah, you're getting on the island. you're too advanced.
There's this. Oh God, when I was in my conspiracy days, I read a lot of non-conspiratorial stuff by people who dealt with conspiracy theories, like Robert Anton Wilson. And he talked about, somebody had done some research into John Patmos, and the indigenous to the area was a mushroom that grew on a cactus called Adonai, which is the body of God.
Yep.
That book makes a lot more sense after I took some mushrooms. I was just like, oh shit, this is fun. Like, this is the scroll that turns to ash on the tongue but honey in the belly. Cool. Let's go, buddy.
I mean, this all sounds like really hallucinatory, and honestly, I would recommend getting a little weird with it with this book, only because it's human history, and a lot of it's just batshit stupid, and a lot of it just sounds like it happened yesterday, like the weird medieval cults that sprang up, like when the darkness came, or like, because wasn't it like, because like, I know that that happened and that lasted a year, but then I think of the 1600s and they were going through like a small ice age as well. Like for like 300 years, like the world was a lot colder, is what I'm trying to say.
That, and he points out later, we'll get to it, but it's also like concurrent apocalypses, because it's like a cold snap from this winter. It's also a plague. It's also like armies.
Can't catch a break.
Multiple apocalypses. I'm starting to really line a lot of things up with what's going on now.
Do you want Horizon Zero Dawn? Because that's how you get Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's what it feels like. It's just dot, 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 dot. It'll never fucking stop. And back then, they didn't even have fucking social media. We have this now where I have to like not look at Facebook anymore because it's like just war, famine, death, AIDS, recession, depression. You know, like it's
made of people. I mean, again, it goes back to I'm not smart enough for this many people to be dumber than I am. I mean, Facebook and social media. I mean,
that's Gru's law. We're gonna have to.
I like that.
What's the thing? A mob's intelligence is the inverse proportion to how many people are in it. It's the IQ divided by the number of people, and that is just exactly the same thing for all of that kind of social media. It's it's terrible stuff, and it does terrible things to you.
Well, it's like Carlin said, think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of the others are even dumber than that.
Yep.
I am frightened at some conversations I have sometimes. I don't bartend anymore, mostly because I'm just burnt the fuck out. Like, I can do it. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like having to just blank slate every time a new person comes up to the bar. I don't have the energy for that anymore.
Oh, do you not have customer service wise?
Oh, no. See, I do fun things like come out of the kitchen, crack a joke, and go back into the kitchen like a troll. That's my
that's nice.
That's fun. I don't have to interact for very long.
You're an incidental character in the sitcom. Got it.
Totally. Right.
Start
exactly.
asking riddles.
I'm like Joe Rogan and News Radio, but this doesn't end. This ends differently, like for sure. I'll still be broke. I won't live in Austin. Like none of that will happen.
Moving right along to the next apocalypse, we're going to be talking about Impact.
I love this shit. It's so fucking stupid.
Part 2, Impact, we have Falling Stars and Doomsday Rocks. It's really kind of neat the way he breaks this stuff up. The first thing about this section that I really enjoyed was just, I guess a lot of people sort of forget, but like there was an awful lot of fin de siècle apocalypticism in like the early 1900s. Like it didn't happen, but people still had it on their mind that it was going to happen.
Well, there was
this is when Yeats wrote Second Coming also.
And H.G. Wells wrote The Star.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember the original story as much as I remember Arthur C. Clarke's response to it, which was still one of my favorite stories of all time.
That's a
beautiful.
The other really neat little piece here that I learned when we're talking about H.G. Wells, he modeled War of the Worlds off of the Tasmanian genocide. Again, he read a newspaper of something going on the other side of the world and like put it into his work. And he was shocked at how Americans viewed earthquake tragedies as a real estate investment opportunity.
Yep.
And they never stopped.
Yep.
No.
Now they just have wars for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you think that's bad, well, you find out how they think about dark people. So
we'll talk.
That whole era.
Yeah.
Well, it's
This
like people
whole-
saw
I
mean,
Halley's
it was
Comet
just-
and like lost their shit, and it was like, well, what if this happened? Like, what is it like? Literally, the opening is like Edgar Allan Poe.
Mm.
Like that was just in vogue to talk about like shooting stars, falling stars, or in Poe's case, like a
Well,
weird gas
Tunguska
that
happened back then.
Yeah.
1906, right?
Yeah.
That was later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was
But
early.
it's
That
still-
was literally the start of the 20th century. It was like,
And I don't remember where it got brought up, but somewhere in there they talked about they've discovered that there was like, a poison in the tail of the comet and that the Earth would pass through the tail of the comet and therefore we're all going to die.
yeah, absolutely.
They covered that in the documentary Night of the Comet.
Yeah. I think this is also a Shadowrun expansion too,
Go
now that I
see it.
think about it.
That's one of my favorite fucking movies.
And yeah, again, that kind of was really neat to me that he points out, that was the feeling in the air when Yates wrote Second Coming, and it was really neat for me personally. I can remember like around 2001, 2002, again, after the millennium was when I kind of rediscovered and got really into Yates' Second Coming. That's still a very poignant poem to my ear.
Something slouching toward Bethlehem. Is it that one?
That's the one.
I fucking love that poem.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there with Ozymandias and
Oh God, yeah.
a bunch of T.S. Eliot, frankly. I had this recording of him doing the Hollow Man, and it's like a really bad old tinny recording, and he's like, he sounds like Palpatine. It's
I know which one you're talking about, and yes, that's the best recording, by the way.
It's so good.
I don't want anybody else to do another one. That's fine.
No, it's perfect.
It's like you got it. We're done.
Oh,
Print it.
Tying some more popular culture, a little more closer to our date than this chapters. They talk about Melancholia, the movie. They talk about Armageddon, the movie. And they talk about Deep Impact, the movie, which, again, shameless plug, I was an extra in.
Fantastic.
You know what? I
We played
always
the comet.
thought that was my favorite of the two, frankly. I also had a thing for Taya Leone.
Okay, you and another 3/4 of America, I think. So.
Yeah, late 90s. You better believe it.
My favorite thing about okay, so this was one of those things that happens where they would play like a bunch of movies would come out that would be similar at the same fucking time. Like, Big and Father whatever with fucking Judge Reinhold and all these other ones came out at the same time. So like Armageddon and
Friday or changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like 10 of them. But like this one, we had this like compete. Like there was like Volcano and Dante's Peak came out at the same time, basically, like within a year. And then we had this like I think Deep Impact came out and then Armageddon came out and blew it out of the water money wise. But I always thought Deep Impact was the better movie because when the shockwave hits, there's a guy sitting at a fountain in the city, and the wind blows his paper out of his hands before he just disappears. And I always thought that was a fantastic fucking detail for something that takes up like maybe 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
I always look for it now. It's just, I love that movie. That movie fucking rocks. Because there's no good ending. You get to see
Yeah.
a
It's
hobbit
one of those
ride a
rare.
dirt bike into Ohio, I guess, or something. I don't know.
It's one of those rare end of the world movies where the world actually ends.
Yeah, it's solid. I like it when shit hits. Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm going to watch one of these disaster movies, I want to see the thing happen.
I mean, that's really what, like, because he goes
Give us
into
the money
two-
shot, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Well, it's like if you have the Towering Inferno and then they put out the fire on the first floor. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
This is-
Poseidon
what can you do?
Adventure.
What can you do, right? Like, with the exception of Armageddon, where they're trying to like blow. Was that the one where they try to blow it up the nukes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the exception of that film, it's because what I like this author too, because he talks about that, but then he gets into the very real apocalypse of the dinosaurs. And how the dinosaurs, because of Jurassic Park has destroyed my brain. Like that was a very real thing, and no one took it seriously until we found the big fuck off crater.
Yeah.
Like,
Even though there was tons and tons of evidence literally scattered all over the world.
because we were more enlightened, right? Like, how can an actual like world-ending event happen? And it's like, well, this actually did happen, and it's the reason we're here. Because
I've seen
that
I
never
don't know.
happened, we'd all be lizards, I guess. I don't know.
I've seen some photographs of bones put together wrong. And
Iguanodon, especially the
that's one
original
of my
sort of
favorite-
configuration of the Iguanodon
Oh,
was.
yeah.
it's like old Jello recipes, like it's just one of my favorite genres of things I can read about.
I just like that he gets into like a I can't say for the rest of the book because, like I said, I only got up to chapter 5. Funny enough, I stopped when he started talking about nukes.
It's so
is
good, but
I
you
know
gotta
I
get through
couldn't
that.
emotionally do it. But at that point, it's like he goes into like the very real apocalypse of Big Rock hit Earth, and how like we wouldn't be here if it didn't happen. No one believes the guy who thought of it about it,
Mhm.
proposed the theory, and I thought that was like he goes into great detail about it. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a
And-
lot of people still have theories about it, and that's where they get all these, like ideas like, oh, that's where we got our water from, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's where life came,
I
like.
mean, people were talking. I mean, if we get off the book for a second, people were talking about like ancient lost continents and shit and Mu and Hollow,
and they still are.
and they still are. But it was more
Yeah,
fascinating.
there's a
but like people were
Lemuria Rising.
Lemuria, yeah. It's like people.
There's-
all right. Look, give me photos of Agartha or fuck off. I don't want to hear about all of that. Just give me pictures, okay? But
there's a rather good series of documentaries on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse. I think it's
Yeah.
a two series thing. Now, I'm going to tell you that's a rather good series and that it's entertaining.
Mhm.
90 to
Documentary.
90, yeah, 90
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
95% of what the thrust of these documentaries are is absolute bullshit.
Graham
Oh my
Hancock
god.
is a lot of fun. That's
Oh my god.
Graham
But
Hancock is a
that's
lot of
exactly it. I could sit there and it's like, I want to write a story, but I don't have an idea. I'll just put on one of these documentaries and I'll have 10 of them in the first half hour.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
read one of his books, America Before, and again, a
Mhm.
lot of really. I'm more interested in his appraisal of the entire archaeological community than I am in like
Yes.
the things that he claims
That's-
and that he finds.
That's something that really resonates with me. Going back to Carl Sagan, strangely enough, he talked about in Cosmos about Eric von Däniken
Mm.
and how he was treated by the scientific community. And yeah, he was ridiculed. They called him names. They said he was a charlatan. And Sagan pushed back on that and said, look, weird ideas come from the strangest places, and sometimes they're right. And this is not how you do science. Keep in mind, the guy that came up with the idea of plate tectonics, I'm pretty sure he died in an insane asylum.
Yeah,
Because
I put
no
puzzle
one
pieces
believed him.
together.
Lucky,
No one believed him.
lucky
Same with
guy.
the,
And this
same with the
idea that
surgeon-
science.
Same with the surgeon who first
Yeah.
said you should wash your hands. He died in an insane
Yeah.
asylum too.
Strange that
This
keeps
idea
happening.
that science is like this self-correcting beautiful thing where, if new evidence emerges, then it's accepted into the knowledge. Bullshit.
Hmm.
You will not find anything
fight.
more petty
Yeah, you have to fight
and
for it.
squabbling than a couple of physicists who do not agree with each other.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even matter what realm of physics.
And this is why I
What
believe. in
oh
chaos
no!
magic.
I think wasn't that the whole reason we liked Altered States so much?
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Yeah.
scientists arguing.
Seriously, watching
Incredible.
Altered States. I mean, go back and watch that, listener, if you haven't done that yet.
So good.
You will see how science happens. Science is a lot of yelling.
Just two scientists yelling at each other. One of them,
Yeah.
one of them is gonna he's gonna punch that man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fucker
Actually,
deserves it.
That's a fantastic segue for our next section. Part 3, the bomb. We're talking about a lot of scientists
yeah.
and a lot of differing theories about
Mhm.
how these technologies could have been applied.
God's
Part 3, the
God's
bomb.
most autistic, God's
You've
most
got-
autistic men.
God knows how to- Part 3, the bomb. You're looking at Dreaming the Bomb, Destroyer of Worlds, Deliverance or Doom, The Doomsday Machine, and Winter.
Yeah.
I
And again-
don't even know how to talk about this. It's too much.
All of this is
Um,
where I
like-
really dug in because this is
Yeah.
Yeah.
where I grew up. These are the stories I
Big
read.
same.
This is, I mean, so much of the science fiction I digested was created from 1945 to 1980. And
Mhm.
in some way, it all dealt with bomb radiation, after effect, nuclear winter.
Side effects.
Right, exactly.
Keep in mind, Godzilla was a mistake.
He-
I mean,
let me here.
even Peter Parker and the Hulk, radioactive this, radioactive that.
The author kind of nails it perfectly. He says he pulled out this quote. He doesn't say this, but he pulled out this quote from at the time when the A bomb was first used. The largest demo to fully grasp it were children and teens, people that read comic books and sci-fi. The
Mhm.
largest. Sure, there was physicists. Sure, there were scientists who understood it, but like the largest demographic of society that realized what a big deal this was. I mean, you
Guys,
read accounts too where adults at the time just didn't get what the bomb was. It's just a big boom, right? It's just a big boom. Like they didn't fully understand it. They just thought it was TNT times 100.
Yeah.
whereas like kids really understood like what was going on with the power of the atom being unleashed.
And they still measure atomic bombs and nuclear weapons in basically comparisons to TNT,
Yeah,
which
megatons
makes
and shit.
no fucking sense.
No.
This shit
No, I
scares
mean,
me.
all of these things have similar. Yeah, any blast. I remember like an uncle putting off an M80 in the backyard, and it hit the like we were in the swimming pool. We saw the shockwave travel through the water, and it was really cool. And then multiply that by a fucking bunch of numbers. And then what are we talking about? And also, this thing is going to irradiate. Yeah, it's going to irradiate you forever, and like you're never getting rid of this shit. And gee, I wonder why we have cancer. Well, maybe it's because we have fucking this shit floating around forever and ever.
Well, fun side effect of the bomb. Let's talk about 5 minutes or less of John Wayne's The Barbarian.
Oh my god!
Everybody working on that movie fucking died of cancer because it was downwind from the nuclear test sites.
Yeah.
But going back, Dan, you were talking about altered states. This is how science happens.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily bookend that with Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And about not only the science, but the politics of the science and all of that. I mean,
this era, okay, listener, I mean, if you're of a certain age, or like you were saying, 45 to 80, okay? If we're talking about this era, it was so fucking crazy with Cold War fear and propaganda and shit that John Milius, a self-styled Zen fascist, was considered to be a pretty good writer. Like he wasn't weirder than that. He did Conan the Barbarian and Apocalypse Now. You know what I mean? Like he did Red Dawn, which I think was his masterpiece, frankly.
Yeah,
Red Dawn
absolutely.
is wonderful. But it's funny when I see movies. There's been a resurgence of 80s and 70s type, but when Spielberg made Bridge of Spies, the whole Cold War thing happening there, I got this intense nostalgia for the Cold War because you knew the rules. You weren't. It was countries fighting countries. It wasn't terrorist cells.
It was Nam. There were rules.
Right. That sounds crazy.
I never had that. Because I'm the
Charlie don't surf.
But I mean, but when you get into that, and I love the fact that he touched on The Day After, which was the single biggest television thing of my lifetime, other than maybe when the Challenger exploded.
And we got to watch both of those in school, listener.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, if you have not seen The Day After, if you want to get a feel for how people thought about a nuclear apocalypse,
that's one of the really neat things about this book is just the way he talks about the psychological effects of this monoculture focused on these works and how it really shaped all of society. I mean, a lot of people have talked about how it has been told many times about the time when Ronald Reagan was screening war games at the White House, and Nancy Reagan at the end was like, "Hey, could that happen?" And all the Joint Chiefs were just like silent.
Well, yeah, but to your point, oh God, I had it and now it's gone.
That's okay; it'll come back.
It'll come back, but it was. Nope, go on. I'll see if it'll come back.
I smoked too much weed and it got damp.
I don't even have that excuse.
You got a contact high over the internet. That's how fast our connection is.
That's what fiber optic gets you.
I found the quote I was looking for. The only considerable group of Americans who understood what it meant consisted of kids. The kids were held to be those who read science fiction magazines, books, and so-called comic books.
So-called comic books.
Alleged comic books.
He gets really into the pop culture of the time, the works that people were consuming. He even starts talking about like the novels that influenced the scientists from the Manhattan Project and the required reading for them. He talks about Oppenheimer a good bit, which is really interesting. There's been a recent focus on Oppenheimer with the great movie, the Nolan film, but my favorite, he goes really into detail talking about Van Neumann and Zillard, who sound so fucking cool. Who sounds so fucking cool. Zillard especially, the vitality there. And both of them are in the movie as well. They're just not.
They're side
characters.
Focus,
We don't get full frontals of them.
Yeah.
I only saw Barbie when all that was going on.
You made the right choice.
Yeah.
See, I have no like frame of reference for this because I am like a 9/11 kid.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we
Isn't-
kind of talked about this a bit with the Damnation Alley episode for the most part.
Kinda,
I
yeah,
mean,
but this is
there
the
were
shit that
just
scares me
TV
more.
shows. Like, imagine The Walking Dead, but nukes.
Mhm.
Okay,
You know,
no,
like,
just
Yeah.
because like I didn't grow
or
up during.
Stalker.
I don't know.
You know,
it is
like,
hard. It is hard to explain to a 9/11 kid
yeah.
what this felt like, because it really, I mean, you could say it's a different time,
Mhm.
but it really was, and there really was a
Yeah.
different set of things going on. I mean, I remember before the Soviet Union fell,
Oh, yeah.
and in what that felt like in school, but
That's
it
all it
also
is.
it also gave an order to things. There
Mhm.
was a way things happened. You know who, well, quote, the good guys and the bad guys and all of that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
And if you
just seemed
didn't,
a
just
lot
watch
more-
any
It
just
seemed a
watch
lot
any
more-
action film from that time period.
Well, you knew who
the
they were
point
gonna make
was,
the
is
villain,
that you
too.
knew where you stood.
It
Yeah.
seemed a lot more predictable at the time. And
Exactly.
looking back
Yeah.
now, it
Mhm.
seems like a beautifully choreographed dance. It didn't seem like that at the time, but
Right.
looking back now, especially again, like digging into this book, they talk a little bit. Listener, if you haven't educated yourself about this, if you aren't scared enough, go back and look up Able Archer 83.
Oh, there you go.
That's where the world was nearly destroyed. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to get into it here, but it was a big misunderstanding between, and that you can actually see in the news. That's where Reagan kind of changed his mind in '83 and stopped being such a hardliner on the as much of a hardliner. Was
Was that
after
the-
'83. Was
There
after
were
this
two-
incident.
Was that the Russian guy that like was like, "Hey, are you sure?"
Yeah.
That's a completely different one.
Oh, okay.
That
Because
was
we almost
the
died
only
there
the
too.
other time
Actually,
the Earth almost.
Yeah.
That's also the same time. Now that you
Only
mention it,
other
there's been a
time,
couple
wink,
Mhm.
times that have
Yes.
happened, and I believe that was one of the times where the Russians were like, "Hey, it kind of looks like they're getting ready to do a war on us. Does that make any sense?" And
Yeah.
thankfully, cooler heads
that
did
one
prevail.
guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I think Ed Helms does a whole podcast series about Able Archer that was just really eye opening.
I have to
And
check that out.
The art at the time, this is something that's hard to explain to someone who wasn't there. The art at the time surrounded it. I mean, there was so much stuff, songs, movies, books. I mean, if you would like to educate yourself a little bit on what the Cold War was like, but you don't want to read nonfiction, go read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yep.
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Keeping in
Yeah.
mind that was written by someone who worked with British intelligence.
Gotcha.
I remembered the thing. So the
Yes.
thing that you were talking about this was a cultural thing
Mhm.
and how it shaped people. I brought this up on the show before, but I and many of my friends and many of the people in my generation, if I say to you, what's your plan for when all of this goes away? People in my generation will have a plan. Well, I know how to brew beer. I know how to handle guns. I know how to. My wife, who's 14 years younger than I am and of a different generation, does not have that, does not have this idea that this is all going to end and you'd better have a fallback position.
Hmm.
And I think
Exactly.
that is a direct result of the Cold War, the nuclear fiction, the day after, all of that was the idea that this is going to end and you have to be prepared for what comes after.
It's such a radically different culture. than
Well,
what we
and
have,
I
like,
would-
going
what I
back to
even
the
I
art
had.
just for a second. The thing is the art surrounded this. There were school kids in high school dancing to a song called "Forever Young" that is literally about dropping the bomb. You know, let's dance in style, let's dance for a while, etc.
Genesis had a puppet music video.
Yeah, one of the best music videos ever made. But the difference is as soon as 9/11 happened, there was a gigantic media censorship. Well, now you can't sing about that on the radio. Nope, we can't put that on TV. Nope,
Yeah.
we're going to have to cancel that thing.
Because I remember
And
the shitty songs
back in the
that came
Cold
out.
War, it was just like, yeah, here's another thing about how the Russians are bad and how America's going to be.
I
Or
would-
Sting Song Russians. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
yeah.
Sing
I
Song
mean,
Russians. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scorpion. You know,
Winds of
fucking
Change,
Winds
I
of
mean-
Change. I'll tell you, if you want to
99,
track
they-
art
They
history,
weren't putting a boot in anyone's eye.
if you
See,
want
it's
to check
interesting
the
'cause you-
history
oh, go ahead.
of 4/5 of this culturally,
Mhm.
just line up the date with the release of Megadeth albums and look at those album covers. Because once you get to a certain point, it stops being just nukes, 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 nukes. There's the Alien fucking X-Files one, and then it just gets a little weirder after that. It's more about like cyberpunky kind of cloney shit. And it's accurate. And I'm not even saying this is like a Megadeth fan necessarily. I do like the Nine Inch Nails remix of Symphony of Destruction. I think that's very good. But like the early stuff was kind of good, and it was interesting to that was it. There was an entire part of fucking metal where the whole, like, all of the albums were like Exodus, and all this shit was electrocuted, and there's a fucking nuke going off somewhere in the background. There was a warplane or some sort of, dozens and dozens of warplanes, and it was.
Well, I grew up in. I'll just make this quick. I grew up in Yakima, Washington, which was very close to the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. And in Hanford, Washington, there's a high school. And I don't think they've changed it. They might have. But at the time, at least when I was growing up, their football team was called the Hanford Bombers, and their mascot was a mushroom cloud.
I don't hate it.
No,
I mean...
It's interesting too, because it's like you guys grew up. Like, I guess I also grew up. We all grew up in an apocalypse mentality.
It's just a different apocalypse.
It's just a different crisis.
Like, yours comes with ice cream.
Yeah, and freedom fries, and just Osama bin Laden's gonna blow up your Dairy Queen. Like,
radio got worse.
Yeah, like a lot of different.
Radio
stuff.
took a shit for a decade.
But like the fucking children and Zoomers now, I imagine, are just like, well, it's just climate change and sheer fucking chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had it good, guys. We would have just been ground zero, blink, no debt, nothing. You're just a memory. You and the diamonds you're holding will turn to gas. Like, it's fucking...
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you leave a shadow on the wall behind you.
That's why punk songs are 7 minutes long now.
Well, we killed Dad.
God damn you.
It's speaking to the nature of that kind of long, drawn-out existential dread of an apocalypse, you get a sense from reading this chapter that there was a lot of hope early on that just the horrible nature of nukes, once they were realized, would be the best deterrent to stop governments from making war with them.
Yeah.
And you take, like, some of the Manhattan Project guys thought that the only way that we're going to get people to see what it is, it's like an actual use in combat. There's a lot of debate of, should we just blow up like an unpopulated area? Should we blow up, a city? And yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings because it kind of worked in a way that, like, yeah, we never did have that war, but only because we were all fucking terrified for so long about having that war. And I don't know, like, which is better, like the constant living on the edge of your seat and like growing up completely disconnected from making plans 4 or 5 years ahead of time because you live on a first strike target. Sorry, I'm getting a little personal here.
Well, like
we used to, and then we lost steel, and then it went away.
Yeah, I don't know if the chapter did they go into like how a lot of these freaks just wanted to use nukes in like a constructive way of like, hey,
Project Plowshares.
Yeah, Plowshares. Thank you.
There was that one in Russia. They wanted to use a nuke to like dig a hole, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of do. That's what Plowshares basically.
What else can we do with these things?
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
If you ever get bored, read about the one time we set one off in space. That was a fantastic idea.
Nothing bad will ever happen from that. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine because this shit, like, I read about cannibal cults in like medieval era because an asteroid flew over their heads, and I'm like, oh, cool, man, that's awesome. And then I read about this shit, and I'm like, this is the shit that scares me.
Yeah, there's two things I remember.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it is amazing to me that we haven't had a suitcase nuke go off in the city.
Really?
Wait, I'm checking my phone real quick.
That's not a bad idea.
Check
it's on my bingo card. It's on my bingo
card.
No,
but I mean,
let me check my RSS.
I find it, and I find that, and it, between that and it was a great scene on The West Wing where Bradley Whitford's character is talking about how the war is going to happen. This is not going to be nukes. It's going to be some guy with a suitcase. He takes a vial of anthrax out, and it's a glass vial, being loosed on the subway. I'm amazed.
Plot.
Right. I'm amazed.
Japan and the sarin gas attack in the subway.
Well, right, and we had the sarin gas attack, and but I'm amazed that it hasn't been worse, especially with the fall apart of the Soviet Union and how a lot of things went missing and all of that.
Yeah, that was basically the plot of Peacemaker. George Clooney, great film.
Yeah. I was thinking
I mean,
of
excuse me,
Bhopal.
not great film, fun movie.
Was a
not great film.
suitcase nuke actually a real thing, or was that like
it's totally possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
By the 60s easily.
That's great.
So long as you could get the fissionable material, pretty much any decent PhD physics student could put together a nuclear bomb.
I mean, at least that's what you'll believe if you read Tom Clancy. But
yeah,
but
it doesn't have to be a good nuclear bomb. That's the point. It just has to, just
but
be the dirty bomb.
I'm wondering how much of again, back to the thing you said, Dan, about the art of the period, is that as writers and movie makers began to make more movies about these possibilities, does that fuel, I'm going to say, law enforcement or defense departments or whatever to be able to see those possibilities and deter them?
Well, to that point, let me just break in right here. One of the most poignant things from this chapter, again, direct quote from the co-pilot of the Enola Gay after dropping the bomb. What we saw made us feel like we were Buck Rogers' 25th century warriors.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I got like two things. That whole era. I know about the Tsar Bomba.
Yeah.
And I see that photograph of all the nukes, photographs, footage, everything that I've ever seen. That's the one because it's the biggest and it's like terrifying. It's absolutely a terrifying idea. You have this nuke that's like 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. I'm getting the numbers wrong. Don't at me. But then the other one is by dawn's early light, the bombers being chased by a fighter jet, and they just nuke the side of a mountain in one of the greatest instances of too much gun that I've ever seen in cinema. Like it's, why does that make me happy, fellas?
Well, we like to see big booms.
Yeah, I think about that when I'm taking my morning shit sometimes. Like I just be like, man.
It's the same thing that that made Mythbusters popular. It's like, okay, well, we found out that you can't blow up a toilet like that. So what do you have to do to blow up the toilet like that? Well, like how we're blow up a goddamn toilet.
It's like how we're in that era now, like of like the your gun fetishist, et cetera, et cetera. There was that era before where there were just so many extra attachments that you would put on a pistol that would make it look like a rifle. That was just comical to me. It was very funny to me. And that's just I feel like that scene is what they're aspiring to.
I mean,
like,
in a way, yeah.
They want to basically, nuke a fly,
I mean, how hard did that guy get after they dropped the bomb, right? Like, that's clearly what it is, where it's like, we just did
for like weeks.
Powers Booth.
Yeah.
Man, Powers Booth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the name.
And, maybe just to kind of...
He's got a handful of tokens in that booth.
And
I'm sorry.
With Venezuela, like, I'm thinking about, too, a lot of how... what we're going through right now is no one's going to punch America in the nose to say cut this shit out because we have the nukes. And America notoriously doesn't do anything to other countries who have nukes as well. And that's really what it comes down to, where it's like, this shit is stupid and terrifying, but it also like feeds into American foreign policy to such an extent where where it's like, no.
Well, it used to, anyway.
It used to. Now we're at the point where it's like, we can do whatever we want.
Well, and the worst thing is that it might work for a little while.
Yes.
But it's just not sustainable.
But no, we can't hold it. We don't have the attention span.
No.
We can't
hold
hold any of this.
Keep in mind how late this country got into World War I and World War II.
Well, and why
basically it had to become our problem, and then fine, we'll do something about it.
Remember the Zimmerman telegram, guys?
For someone who's got like an interest in this as to what happens during a nuclear war, there's a fantastic book by Annie Jacobson called Nuclear War Scenario, and in it she basically takes you through a minute by minute countdown as to what happens in World War III. Yes, I said minute by minute. It's over in minutes.
Oh yeah. They say if you get the warning, you got 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
Again,
And it's
I need you to
terrifying.
go watch The Day After, please.
Yes.
Yeah, and Threads ruin your
And
fucking
Threads.
weekend.
Oh yeah,
Let's
just
go.
just do,
Yeah,
do them
no.
back to back. It's a hell of a double feature. Get the popcorn and the kids.
There was, I really think in this set of chapters, there was such a great interweaving of just the interplay between fiction and reality, how the one affects the other and the other can go back and recursively affect the first.
Mhm.
He talks for a good bit about this theoretical bomb called the Hell Bomb. It never existed, but it was called a cobalt bomb.
Oh.
A theory they could put
Oh
like
yeah.
a cobalt
Mhm.
jacket around a nuclear explosion, which would then create like some massive toxic killer cloud. Anyhow, it never existed, but it spawned like an entire wave of new horrific fiction about this bomb, as did kind of every new technological development throughout the 20th century.
Mhm.
They talk a little bit how there's an actual fishing boat called Lucky Dragon 7. That was a Japanese fishing boat that got radiation like rained down on it from a bomb test. That's the Lucky Dragon 7. That's a boat from Godzilla. Made it into
Oh,
fiction.
really?
Another one that you talked about was the hotline red phone, between Moscow and Washington.
Right.
Mhm.
Didn't actually exist until it was in a story. They wrote a book called Failsafe, where they're like, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea where these two people could fucking talk to each other to make sure we're not going to war?
Yeah.
And there's just like peppered throughout a ton of information like that. I thought was really interesting.
Just picking up the red phone and all you hear is just some guy drunkenly laughing on the other end.
It's just the
All you
Russian buzzer on the other
All you
end.
hear is
Well, definitely, I'll throw By Dawn's Early Light in there as like a potential kind of scenario, sort of what could happen. I
Yeah, it's
have on
stupid
good
as
authority
shit,
from
but-
relatives who were in the Air Force who were like, no, that's kind of the order of things. That's how this works. And I was like, oh, wow. That was the first time I'd ever heard the term nuclear football.
Yeah. Yeah.
God damn.
Good times. Good times.
And then yeah, again, he sort of wraps that up, talking a little bit about Able Archer 83, because it was a big fucking deal. I'm not going to belabor it too much here because we talked about
No. Why don't you summarize it? Because not everyone mentioned it a couple of times, and not everyone's going to go read this.
Broad strokes, there was a big NATO exercise took place in '83 with Belgium, and they were testing out a lot of new systems. It was based in Belgium, but it was all of NATO, and there were Russian spies in the command organization at certain points, but not ones that had the knowledge that it was an exercise. So everything that they were reporting on seemed like it was really like there was something that was really building up, that they're really going to make a push. Skirmishes on the border of Finland or training exercises on the border of Finland. Anyway, it was just like so many things lined up, and all of them, if you're looking from a Russian perspective, just looked like the Allies were just about to jump the gun and eradicate us. For no real reason either, other than America had a new president. He was very blustery about his speech about war. So yeah, crazy time.
Oh man, I was young enough to like barely clock that shit. You know what I mean? Let's see, I was about 8 then.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what else happened in '83. Yeah.
Imagine getting nuked when you're just looking over your border. Or like, are they dancing over there? What are they doing?
Yeah.
What is that?
What is that?
What is that, buddy? What is that little light? What is that? Yeah, no, God, there was so much too. There was just so much. There were just so much like allegorical stuff, even in like fantasy. This idea of this all-encompassing, all-ending, all-erasing.
Yeah, how could it not?
The weapon. It was always the weapon.
Yeah.
To that point again, there's another great quote towards the end of this section. The great advantage of fiction is that people can be enticed for the sake of the story to accept premises that they would otherwise reject as unreasonable when they are really only unfamiliar.
I really feel like we're through the looking glass these days.
The most recent fiction that I can think of that really got that feeling of what contemplating a nuke was like was oddly in the 50th anniversary Doctor Who special, where the war doctor is going to set off a thing called the Moment, which is going to eradicate all of the Time Lords. And it is this debate between him and something. You're never really clear what. They say it's the weapon itself. He's debating the weapon itself about whether to set it off or not. And I remember watching that going, that feels weirdly familiar to me, because in the fiction that I've read of late, the doomsday weapon doesn't really come into it. It's more plague or alien or external forces or anything like that. But like the weapon, the singular thing, is not the problem. And I find that very interesting.
It
as
sounds
a reflection of where we are.
It reminds me, the Doctor Who episode you're mentioning, Gru, it really reminds me of the guy doing the like spacewalk in Dark Star, trying to argue with the bomb that won't detach. And he has
John
this,
Carpenter's first movie.
Yeah.
I'll always love that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The beach ball alien is worth sticking around for, but the sheer amount of beards.
They made that movie with $5 in a case of Budweiser. It's just
To that point, Corin Ops, our next section is part 4, machines.
Terminators, right? We're talking about and the paperclip machines.
He goes from RUR all the way up through Terminator, all the way to modern day. We've got robots, computers, and artificial intelligence in this section. One of the neater things that I saw in here, towards the beginning, he gives a good Joseph Campbell quote, where Joseph Campbell's quoted as saying, "Computers are like Old Testament gods, lots of rules and no mercy."
That reminds me of that IBM slide. Computers should not make management position decisions because computers cannot be held accountable.
Yeah.
I wish some of our modern tech bros would fucking learn that.
Well, it turns out CEOs can't be held accountable either. So
yeah, and companies are people, and fucking green is blue, and
they're all made of meat. We could do
anybody want to subscribe to an OnlyFans of my feet? That's where we're at. I'm out of ideas, guys. I'm just out of ideas.
A lot of really nice ideas.
Talking about what I know what to do after the apocalypse. I know how to read books and suck cock.
A lot of really interesting ideas, a lot of nice concepts he puts here. One of the neater ones that kind of stuck out to me, he talks about how the Sorcerer's Apprentice, the Mickey Mouse, kind of prefigures AI in a lot of ways.
That's
that's such a good connector to that. Holy shit.
He talks a little bit about Ada Lovelace and how she apparently the theory was her opinion was that AI would not be possible. All the way up to Alan Turing, who says AI maybe Again,
I think both of those
says it a lot more eloquently than what I just said, but
I think both of those are very valid.
Kind of neat thing that I found here, trigger warning, coin ops, CAPTCHA is actually an acronym.
Yes, it is.
All right, that one doesn't bother me.
Completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Wow.
Someone sat up all night working on that one.
You know what? Effort went into that one. It's not like evil or whatever the fuck that was. This is fine.
Evil.
No, CAPTCHA's a good one. It rolls off the tongue, and it's like, dude, I caught you, CAPTCHA.
I know what it means. I'm not sure it works.
One thing
in the era of AI, I think it's absolutely useless.
One thing here that kind of made me say, was he talks about all the big hype that went into AIs in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And this kind of reminded me of a couple things. I remember years ago, a little bit of a tangent, but reading The Postman, not the movie, but reading the book
David
Postman,
Brin.
there's a big section where he's in a university where they have apparently an AI. I'm not going to reveal it. Go read The Postman. It's a really good book. But I remember thinking oh, that's kind of weird and isolated. No, that was something that was happening at the time when when the book was being written.
God, I keep getting these weird ads before Christmas for this. My daughter came up to me and told me about this crazy story that has these squirrels that got into their crazy thing and flew around and solved crimes. And
No. Let me tell you, I know that
AI
ad.
doll.
I know that ad, and it says, "Got into their submarine and floated away into the clouds." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" That's how they're selling AI. The hallucinations are just fairy tale stories for children. I just head smack.
It used to
head smack.
be I would hear the Chumba Casino song and I would skip. And this one makes me want to throw my fucking phone through the wall.
It makes you just
Like-
not want to listen to fucking podcasts anymore.
I
you
want to
should
like
listen
Costco, but if it's only available at Costco, I don't think that I can make my own hot dogs. I don't need to be driving
Yeah.
out
Well,
there.
like I know,
And-
I don't remember when Stand on Zanzibar was ran. I know it was during the 70s, but AI does play,
78?
I think it was
Yeah, that sounds about right.
79?
That like AI did play. I know Stand on
75.
Zanzibar is mostly about like insane overpopulation and isolation, but there is an AI that plays a role in that as well, where it's this machine that basically just makes decisions for the country. And
68.
that was close. Oh, all right.
Well, take your hat off for Uncle
Yeah, that was a good
Harlan.
one.
Yeah.
And I have no mouth, but I must scream.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Like
Again,
a lot of stuff being written about like AI and like either hating us or controlling us in a very subtle way, or Stand on Zanzibar's case, having to have someone who understands society a little bit better than everybody else, having to talk to it to try and unclog its AI brain, for better or worse, because he could have just fucked it up and he didn't. But yeah, like that was like something that people were really thinking about, of like the idea of having like robots doing things.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there was a fucking Rocky movie.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, the Rocky IV. Yeah.
That whole era.
And kind of again, speaking of that mid-century AI hype, there's one part where he talks about like there's one guy on a talk show and he's saying like, and again, this is like 70s. He's like, yeah, we'll have AI in either 4 or 40 years. And it's like, sure, that's a wide prediction, but then he kind of goes into talking about how like if we hadn't put all of our national resources to it, we wouldn't have been to the moon in 9 years, 6 years, whatever. If we had like, and it's true, if we had had some kind of a push like that, it would have been here much sooner. Now we're starting to get there. And again, some talk from the time. This guy writes in a magazine. Today they are AI. It's talking about AI. Today they are performing such crafty feats of human thinking that their designers and users compare them more and more often to real brains. Already, computers are capable of creating beatnik pseudo-poetry, abstract oil paintings, and passable pop tunes. In Jung's words, computers outdo man at his own work now, and may soon outthink him too.
My
I'm
eyes
sure the
rolled
person who
so
wrote
hard
1961
Yeah.
Life magazine.
they detached from the optic nerve and are still rolling.
Somebody never took the person who wrote that never had like mushrooms, right? And like you could just do those things.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the
you could just
60s,
write
man.
beat
Go to
poetry.
San Fran.
Yeah, like
Well-
you could just do all the things you described. A computer doesn't have to do them.
And as a late 70s era send up to that. And this is one of those things that I continuously forget that this was a work from the late 70s because it seems so much more modern than that, I guess, is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Where, the AI computer, the super mind that, is going to answer the ultimate question to life, the universe, and everything comes up with an answer that's nonsensical. And
And then we got to spend several books trying to figure out what the question was.
yeah.
And it turns out 6, 7.
Yep.
God damn it. Douglas
one of the
Adams is so fucking far ahead.
Yeah. And
one
the
of the
funny
other
thing
really-
was Douglas Adams was a massive computer nerd.
Ah.
He loved Apple computers.
One of the other really neat things they start talking about in this section, Marvin Minsky, I kind of knew him tangentially, but one of the first pioneering scientists behind AI. He built the first neural network called SNARK, again, an acronym, using 200 vacuum tubes and the automatic pilot from a B-24 bomber.
I mean,
That's a hacker, ladies and gentlemen.
That right there.
That's a hacker.
Now, I don't know what snark means, but please tell me that the S stands for snark.
Oh,
No, of course, I had this.
the cursive acronyms, my favorite.
I mean,
Oh god, like mom's our organic market.
Yeah.
Mhm.
GNU's not Unix, that kind of shit. PHP hypertext processing.
Doesn't Cobra stand for something in G.I. Joe?
Spatial Numerical Association of Response Codes.
Oh, that's
I'll
no
allow it.
fun.
So what did so he smash built this thing. What was it used for?
Oh, well, he's MIT scientist. I think he was just exploring like how to make neural networks that would eventually
Gotcha.
be worked on. He was like a big compute guy. He was really influenced
Mm.
by von Neumann and ENIAC and that sort of thing. And this is kind of like a next kind of extension of what we can do with the tools that we have and what we can make them into. Neat quote from him. He's talking about the 1961 paper Steps Towards Artificial Intelligence. Minsky was amused by the paradoxical status of computers in the public imagination. On the one hand, he wrote, "We are warned that they must be restrained lest they overwhelm us by might, persuasion, or even by the revelation of truths too terrible to be borne." What the fuck does that sound like? On the other hand, computers are denounced on all sides for their slavish obedience, unimaginative literal interpretations, and incapacity for innovation or initiative. In short, for their inhuman dullness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Little column A, little column B.
I mean, they're stupid as fuck now. Like, let's be real
Yeah.
about this.
It's funny though, because I last night I sat down and watched Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 back to back, and now I'm reading the comic books. But the exploration of replicants as machines, whether organic or not, and are they people or are they not people? But at the end of the day, it's really an argument about, is slavery okay?
Yeah.
You know, is really interesting. And I feel like that when we start talking about AI, not that I'm worried that it's going to become their own people, but we can't explain our own consciousness.
right.
And so if these things do become conscious, we may never know it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell, we look at people who exist on this planet and look at them and claim that they are not conscious.
Right.
Right.
We
Yeah.
claim that they are lesser. We claim
Dude,
we throw IQ around like that
Well-
still matters and shit. You know, like it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
people are specialized. Some people are very good at certain things and very bad at others. And we still have this like worship of wealth
Mhm.
as also smart and good at one thing means
Yeah.
good at all
A lot of
things.
that-
Like
a
none
lot
of
that's
that's
very
true.
sign Of the 19th century that we're still kind of we're still fucking dealing with. I don't need.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
need,
yeah.
I don't need calamari because I think they're somewhat smart. Like,
Oh.
Yeah, I
know,
stopped eating
everything is
octopus
still
for the same
Franken's.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
same.
fuck AI. Give me that octopus that was predicting Super Bowl winners or whatever. the
Yeah,
fuck
that's
it
what I
was.
need.
Well,
Yeah,
really,
no,
but your point about the machines thing, it still takes us all the way back to Frankenstein, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
The mechanical
kind of
tricks.
on that tip on the topic of Frankenstein's, Minsky was also good friends with Kubrick. He was a technical advisor
Mhm.
on 2001: Space Odyssey. He came up with HAL, the
Mhm.
acronym for HAL, and like how he functions and things.
Mhm.
Minsky recognized that 2001 was the synthesis of two fundamentally opposing worldviews. Kubrick's vision seemed to be that of humans are doomed, whereas Clark's is that humans are moving on to a better stage of evolution. And you can kind of see both of those things in the film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Especially if you take the aforementioned mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And this book also kind of revealed something for me. So one thing that has always kind of haunted me is that scene in 2001 where Bowman is disconnecting the computer and he's like pleading for its life. Hal's just like,
Yeah, it starts to lose its mind.
and he starts singing this song, Daisy, Bicycle Built for Two. And I just thought it was always like really weird. Why would turns out Hal's demise was another reference to IBM history. During a 1962 visit to Bell Labs, Arthur C. Clarke had witnessed the IBM 704 sing the 1890s music hall hit Daisy Bell, Bicycle Built for Two, using the first vocoder synthesizer. As he dies, Hal's brain retreats to the digital nursery.
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's good
Fuck
shit.
that computer.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't open the pod bay doors. You know, you got to do what you got
I
to
have
do.
very little sympathy for robots and androids and whatnot.
Oh, you didn't like
Why
the
do you hate the
J-Lo
slaves
movie
so much?
Atlas?
No.
Why do you hate the slaves, Scum?
It should have
Yeah,
never
dude,
been
not
made.
very cool to hate slaves.
Don't hate slaves, man.
Well,
not
and
human.
Anything to you.
even if, because like you say, it goes back to whether or not you're cool with slavery. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Project 2501 and Ghost in the Shell, where you know the net itself kind of becomes conscious, and now it has to convince people that it's conscious and it's a sentient being. And of course, the corporate people don't want this to be a sentient being. If it is, well, holy shit, we don't let that get out.
That's like Parasite Dolls and the anime, which was like a spin-off of Bubblegum Crisis, where it comes down to like them trying to figure out like how many do we give these things we created rights? Are they human? And it goes from like, well, we could tolerate them to I want to fucking murder them at the same time.
Yeah,
because
Armitage the Third. Yeah,
AI, the movie.
Yeah. Armitage the Third's a good one. Yeah, go watch Armitage the Third.
Yeah, that's a really fantastic.
It's a really good one.
I don't know.
And the soundtrack is Chef's Kiss.
The bugaboo for me these days is when people argue about AI. They're like, well, it's wrong sometimes. Well, so are you. Well, it's just an amalgamation of everything it's read, and it's just spitting things back at you. So do you.
Now,
don't we fucking do on this show?
How did you learn English?
When I'm wrong, though, do I got to drink a gallon of water and then like shit in a sink?
I do, but that's just a matter of discipline.
Child's mouth.
As of now, CoinOps,
that's how you bring balance to the ecology.
I don't make the rules. It's just this is just what we do now.
While we're still kind of talking about this robot stuff, I was thinking about just like the utter failure of these like Tesla robots, but it only just to bring up that clip I think I shared with you a week or two ago of the mocap guy doing the thing with the robot. Well, there was the one where you see the robot look as though it's trying to take its head off and it collapses backwards because the guy's still connected. That's nothing. The one that I love the most is the guy who does like a karate kick and the robot kicks him in the nuts and then he goes down and then the robot goes down like it got hit in the nuts. And that to me is poetry.
It's like a dog that's playing with you and accidentally hits you in the nuts with its tail, and you fall, so the dog falls because
it was like
having a great time.
It was like kicking Ratatouille in the nuts. That's what it was like. I don't know how to describe it. I watched it for 2 days, just on a loop. Like I was
just
feeling
going.
It's the holidays. I got the doldrums going on. I would just put that on and just go, and then brew some coffee. Like it just worked.
Oh yeah,
because it turns out that Idiocracy was right. Watching people get kicked in the nuts is incredibly entertaining.
That should be the inaugural like.
That's where it all started.
That's like
on one of the MTVs they canceled.
That's like the toy stage though of like the AI development of like we're kind of just fucking around at this point.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm very open to alternate consciousness. Again, I respect octopi and their undersea empire, but like, and if I could have a conversation with a cockroach, I fucking would. But it's the sense of like the artificiality and how stupid it fucking is right now because it's run by the stupidest people on Earth. Like the people who own this shit truly are the dumbest people. Like. Incest and anything else is produced.
What I like
to go ahead. I'm
I
made myself mad.
What I like the AI I like is the dedicated small kind of like craft batch AI that a company is feeding its own
artisanal
into.
Artisanal shade grown AI.
It's got those Washington State hops in it. Wait,
you can
no,
hear
that's
the
an
pops
IPA.
when you drop the needle on it. Like that's. AI. I like that exactly.
Well, because it's a purpose-built tool.
Yeah,
but that's I don't need it for I don't need it to replace writing and art and acting and everything else.
Yeah,
and
you lazy motherfuckers.
You know what I mean? Are crappy human beings, but as a guy that works with AI every day,
right?
I can tell you, it's very useful for certain things, like a hammer or a screwdriver.
When it is a tool. I don't believe that. Here's my favorite thing is someone made some prompts and they're suing someone else for plagiarism of their prompts. And I was like, you're using Chat GPT.
Fuck that. Give them hammers. Let them fight. I hate that shit.
I just wish Mutant Football League was real. But like the...
What bothers me and will continue to bother me until the end of time probably is just the cognitive dissonance where people like Gru and I and other people were like, yeah, the useful tool, interesting things. I get some things done with it occasionally. To the other side of this, this will be sentient very soon. It's like, no, it won't. This This thing can't do shit sometimes.
Remember when they just used to tack on like a cool term of the time to a product and it was fine, like Turbo or X or Cyber
.net or
I, right.
I everything or
right.
.net.
E something, like
E
now
something.
the problem with AI is that we have conjured an image of it from HAL to fucking data. We don't even pronounce data properly anymore because of it. And we think that this ChatGPT thing is Brent Spiner. And it's not. It's dog shit. It doesn't do the thing. And we're calling it AI, but it's just a shittier chatbot. And I like when you do certain things in certain programs, they're like, we have AI for it isn't. It's just an algorithm, dog. Just quit upselling. Chill the fuck out.
It's a word guessing machine.
Well,
coming back, why do we got to wait for the Super Bowl to know that like the bubbles popped?
Well, coming back to the book, do they explore that in this chapter of how like stupid it is, or it's just like the underlying fear of the T-1000?
It's more talking about like the fears, and they really kind of, he does a good job of setting up the similarities between like how the bomb was synthesized by our society with how AI is beginning to be both sold to us and synthesized. He makes a lot of really interesting connections in that regard.
Okay.
But I think tomorrow when I sit down to work with my AI, I'm going to tell it to talk to me as if it was Am from the Ellison story and just have it work with me on the coding that way. I think that would be really entertaining.
He's just going to be like, hate, all in caps.
Right. So long as it doesn't call you daddy and you didn't prompt for it, that's,
Look, you leave my hobbies alone.
I mean, this is the same nation that wants to tie grok into military decision making. The
pedophilia AI.
Yes, the pedophilia and digital rapist AI. That's but then again, that seems to be pretty on brand for this administration. So.
Well, hey, no, it's cool. It's cool, man. Musk put it behind a paywall now.
On January 15th, 2025, Skynet became sentient.
And then it made lewds.
Yeah, I was going to say, then it started creating very problematic material. It started to make a child abuse material.
Child abuse material with a Ghibli filter.
It launched the missiles and then created lolly hentai.
How many more chapters do we have to go? We're coming up on 2 hours.
I was going to say, it sounds like we're getting to the next section, which is going to be Collapse. Collapse, we have 2 chapters. Catastrophe, Survival. Some of the interesting things he points out here. Most post-apocalypse is really post-catastrophe. He asks a really interesting question. How much of Western apocalypse fiction is really just about the death of capitalism, colonialism, and the rule of law?
Power fantasy, baby.
Completely.
Which is where you get these prepping people.
He talks about
where we get our
the people that
I was going to say
people that buy the
cyberpunk
cuts of food. Yeah.
How many cyberpunk media everything is just a post-apocalypse?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's baked in. The street finds a use for things. It's basically what you're always doing in the post-apocalypse. You're always looking for a tool or an item or something. Or if you're playing Arc Raiders, you're looking for apricots. I can't explain why. It needs the rooster needs them.
He points out how, in a lot of ways, survivalism is kind of entry-level fascism. He makes some really good points there.
Absolutely.
Actually, the full thought, I think, is zombie APOC fetishism is entry level to survivalism, which is entry level to fascism,
or at least a break point.
There was a lot of weird shit going on during the Weimar era of things that we consider very hippy dippy now. So we're talking about like nudist cults, incest cults, all very open. We're talking about people who are like, I'm going to go back into the land for the fatherland, or they didn't call it the fatherland, but the point is like, I'm just going to learn how to do things because of my German ancestor bullshit. Like that's when you get to the weird Teutonic like stuff of the Nazis. But for some reason, like the idea of like survivalism gets really strange, especially in America, of kind of mixing that into our national mythology.
It definitely
descended from colonial settler farmers who
After
revolted against a king and all that.
Definitely.
Bullshit.
No, I mean that's why Fallout looks the way it does. I mean, you have this nuke drop, and immediately there's people trying to sell you Fallout shelters, which would basically do nothing but be your tomb.
Yeah, and they talks a good bit about that fetishism in the chapter.
Yeah,
but that stuff didn't really like jump up a notch until we got to stuff like Ruby Ridge Waco. Because before we used to we would collectively talk about the militias as the Michigan militia. Like we were just like, oh, you mean like the Michigan militia? We didn't know that there were a bunch of other ones. We knew there were. Like,
let me tell you about
gun
Idaho
groups and stuff. Well, no, for sure, especially Pacific Northwest, anything off the coast. That's pretty much it now.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's why they want to like kind of separate. They want to do that whole like we'll have our own state, and I'm like, yeah, but there's like fucking 1,500 of you. What are you talking about?
It's a drive for like weird offshoot independence where like I don't have to pay taxes and no one can tell me what to do.
But here's the thing: in the years leading up to it, you'd go to the barber shop and you'd get your soldier of fortune, and you'd have your like stuff in the back.
What soldier of fortune in years?
Yeah, you know what I mean. But you'd have these ads and stuff someday that'd take you to like, oh, here, join the militia, or here, be a legionnaire, et cetera, et cetera. There were these various different things, but it really didn't blow up until you got to like, say, the Turner Diaries, that whole Rhodesia, the Northern Alliance, and all the stuff that started happening after fucking Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge was like what they were looking for.
That was their
they could exploit because it was a government fuck up.
Yeah.
And then all of this stuff like turned into all of these other things, and you would see it. Like, yeah, Milius had a bit of that in his writing and stuff like that. But a lot of these other fucking guys, that's just all they talk. Oh, I eat nothing but fucking elk. That I kill myself with an arrow. And it's like, yeah, cool, dude. It's a fucking $1,300 arrow compound bow, and these are machines.
That goes back to like the fucking American bullshit myth of rugged individuality. Like all these settlers going west and like roughing it and cutting a space out of. Man, they brought finished tools with them. They brought wagons. They brought machines. They brought plows. Don't tell me they're doing it on their own. Like it's not.
You know who actually did on their own? The natives who lived here before they got here.
Yeah, well.
The who?
That doesn't fit the white narrative, so.
No, it does not.
But
I'm just traveling, though. I'm just traveling.
Speaking of not fitting the narrative, one of the things that he does repeatedly throughout the book and does really well in this section, I think, is he points out that a lot of the impetus for some of this more like dark fiction isn't always the reality of it. He points out in this how like in this section how Lord of the Flies, which is itself
fucking book.
An apocalyptic story.
I hate that book.
He talks about how the actual real event behind it was actually a pretty positive story. The boys who were stranded on the island formed like an egalitarian society where they took care of each other. It was totally opposite of the book.
It turns out that people are not savages at heart or something like that.
No,
there is goodness in the world.
Yeah, we're not fucking Leviathan.
Yeah, no, like Exhibition 1, a lot of people live into later years. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there are mass shootings. This shit needs to be handled. Maybe every fucking citizen in the world doesn't need to be walking around with like a Glock and an AR. But like, for the most part,
what am I going to do with mine?
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you got to go to the Piggly Wiggly, I know you got to be strapped.
Absolutely. Some shit might go down.
As someone who researches and writes a lot about people having to fucking eat each other for fun, spite, or profit, we don't really do that. It's like when we turn on each other, it's in like, for example, with like survival cannibalism, again, out of either spite or need, it's a dead end. We don't do that.
It's literally the last resort.
Because we're people. We need each other. We have expertise, or we can learn. And when you enter like the survival fetishism, that's a dead end. Because you aren't going to be it is not I against I. We're not the fucking Leviathan of like, because if we separate from it, then we become fucking cannibals, I guess. I hate that fucking asshole.
Well, there's another really good quote from the book right here that explains what you're saying. It's not that apocalypse forces people to do horrible things. It enables them to do horrible things.
Exactly. Yes. It takes the inhibitions away. And the funny thing that always strikes me about survivalism is like a philosophy is so few survivalists out there think about the possibility that they won't survive. I mean, okay, so the apocalypse comes, the bomb drops, but you happen to be underneath the bomb when it drops. So what you gonna do now, sunshine? Literally, you're bright like the sunshine.
That first cup of water out of the stream is gonna work out great for you.
That's gonna be awesome.
Well, for most people, let alone that first cut you get, and there are no.
Yeah, exactly. Like because.
He does a pretty good job of like deflating the apocalypse myth in a lot of the ways that you're talking about, I think.
And I have sympathy for people who can't look beyond that, because like, you know, me being, you know, isolated as I am due to my circumstances, it's worse too because we have the fucking computer and social media where it's like you do get like I fucking hate having to put it this way. You are the main character. You are the protagonist of your life. And unfortunately we all are, because we have no way of mind melding.
Right.
You know, like we were stuck with a consciousness that we have, but nowhere in our consciousness do we think someone's gonna fucking, like, I could just die and that's it. And you know, oh shit. Yeah.
Take acid when you're young, folks.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna have some close calls. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like we're not capable of looking outside of that, and so I do have sympathy for people, but also like it comes out of fear.
Yeah.
Like I can't blame for somebody for thinking like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna learn kung fu, I'm gonna, like, you know, turn a person into a bow and arrow, because you gotta not be afraid. And as Americans, we're very afraid. We're terrified all the time of everyone.
It's the busy hands are happy hands, and the occupied mind is an homicidal kind of thing. Where
Also,
you know,
when busy because the boss is watching.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the end is coming, but if I survive, then I'll be okay. Look at all of the preparations I've made. You know,
if the end comes,
that's great. Well,
my
what
boss
happens
is
when the
alive,
buckets
I
of
get to
food
eat
run
it.
out?
Well, this is all kind of to the point I was trying to make earlier. This is the part of the narrative that we're at in society. These folks want to see a payoff on all this shit they've been excited about. And most of these people have been excited about this Epstein list that suddenly their champion is hiding from them. And they don't know what to do. Like we're in this crazy period of we don't know what happens next happening right now. And some of it feels like the end, but it doesn't feel like an apocalyptic end. It just feels like to some people who are true believers, who are the faithful in this, it feels like they're trying to agitate a climax, and they don't know what it is. Well, they've caught the car and they don't know what to do with it.
It's funny you say that. In this section too, he takes a little bit of a deep dive on J.G. Ballard. I kind of love it. Talking about the man, he says, to the point of you're making here, J.G. looks at the world's frenzied acceleration and fantasizes about its crash.
Good movie. Go watch Crash.
There's a lot of not the one.
Yeah,
not
no.
Just
the good one with
you watch the good one.
Codius?
James Spader.
James Spader.
No, you watch the good one. It's a Cronenberg one. There's analingus in it. It's great. Watch it every Sunday.
Anyhow, he talks about
how to promote a movie by Scum.
He talks about how J.G.
This is why Nightbreed didn't work.
1 to 5 on the analingus scale.
He talks about how J.G. Ballard is in a lot of ways proto-Gibsonian apocalyptica. J.G. Ballard himself, I didn't realize that his early life, when he was a kid, he lived in Hong Kong during the occupation, during World War II. Basically, the plot of Empire of the Sun with
Empire of the Sun.
That was J.G. Ballard's childhood.
Yeah.
He was
I didn't know that.
He was in a concentration camp for a while. He got back to England eventually. He describes post-war London as a disaster area where hope was rationed.
That's correct.
He very much...
It's great.
He very much inspired Joy Division and Ian Curtis. There's a whole section in there about that. And then the next thing he kind of goes on to, again, some of the things we were just talking about, kind of deflating the apocalypse adventure. He talks about The Road. That
really boy, do I have stuff to say about that book.
All the fun out of Apocalypse.
I love the book. The movie...
No, I don't give a fuck.
Movie's all right. Well, it's John Hillcoat. Look, John Hillcoat directs it, and he did the proposition, which rocked.
Look, the movie's adequate. The movie's adequate.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Like, you have to understand, The Road was my first McCarthy novel, which is an incredible way to be introduced to that author. And it's okay. Go get your Coke Zero. Enjoy.
Right.
This is a product
what I remember from the
Zero. Was the Coke Zero he gives his son, but like it's
bubbly.
It's like a bubble. That's why fuck that movie. Anyway, that's why it's it's like a biblical apocalypse, but it's also not. It doesn't explain the whys or the hows or even,
which is fine.
He talks about it for a while. He talked about it's magic for that reason. The quote here that he has, I like to. It is possible to read The Road as a story about generational failure, a father who can remember the privileges of modern life, and a son who knows only his inheritance of ash.
and that's where we're at now because the kids are pretty fucked right now.
Poignant.
Yes. Oh God, that's awful. But like it's what it is. It's like it's also like has its negative points, right? Because like it also kind of goes into the.
It also has negative points. The cannibal armies roving the earth.
Yeah, the most depressing.
Using babies as a green renewable food source. Yeah.
Other than it's an American road trip story, what's the negative?
Yeah, exactly.
The book I finished reading in a Long John Silver's in Crown Point, Indiana, crying. And tell me what the bad points are.
Well, it just goes into the idea that like we're all just gonna fucking eat each other quite literally. It uses baby because you get the sense that there is no food, there's no sun, everything is fucking ash. So you get like cannibalism is, of course, you're gonna use children as food, but that's not exactly how people are either. Even though I know he's kind of trying to go for more of like a fable, not a fable. What's the word I'm trying to look for?
Yeah,
parable.
Yeah, I mean a
parable. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's trying to go more in that direction, but it's. I don't know. It's something that has to be experienced. It's very poetry. I think he even based it a little bit like how it was written on poetry because there's like barely any fucking punctuation in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it exists on the same timeline as say like Nomadland. Nomadland would be a little earlier on the timeline, but I feel like that leads directly into whatever happens in the road. Go ahead.
To really put a period on it, the last line of this section is kind of says it all. The truth is that most of us would not be rugged survivalist supermen like Mad Max, but more like the shuffling, compromised zombie citizens of Children of Men. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't remember the stand-up comedian, but there was this guy and he was talking about, prepper and, stuff like that. And it's like, so what are you going to do after, if they bomb us or whatever? And it's like, I plan on not making it. Right?
Seriously.
I pretty much plan on dying. Yeah.
I'm pretty close to a first strike target. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
No,
I just, this college debt and the lack of Cold War stress is fucking me up. That's all I'm saying. It's knowing that it could all go away in a flash is one thing, but now it's like, I'm going to be in the mines in a year. Anyway, what are we at?
You're more optimistic than I am. I thought we were going to be in the re-education camps.
Well, that's where they process the meat. Anyway,
where we're at is part 6. Pandemic. Got that pandemic.
I love 28 Days Later.
Well, we already know all about this, so we
could kind of skip this entire section.
Everyone listening to this already went through this shit.
Anyone who's listening to this that is under the age of 8 years old, why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
But in this section, he gets really into he again goes back through history. The Black Plague is essentially a pandemic apocalypse. He talks a little bit about the Decameron. He talks about just different waves of sicknesses throughout Europe and how that affected people. Goes further into the modern era. Starts talking a little bit about Crichton, Andromeda Strain.
I love that movie.
There's Contagion. That was that Matt Damon one that came out. Wasn't bad, about the pig virus.
The Soderbergh one.
Yeah, that's the one. There's a lot of really good stuff.
I haven't seen that one.
And but I think my favorite part is where he starts talking about the zombie section. He's goes on about this through line straight from Romero to Resident Evil to 28 Days Later. Talks about it's not new, but it's interesting observation again about just the way that Romero's zombies really completely mirror the civil rights era. A lot of really interesting parallels there. If you haven't explored that already, there's some nice stuff there.
Well, I believe he had that really cool progression too, where he was talking about how zombies will reflect the era they're in, but now they're just kind of like an excuse to kill people.
Yes,
it's
just line through that where again it just ends up being fascist fetishism at the end, where it's like these are not humans, and we can destroy them.
Another piece of fiction that was totally misunderstood.
Climate.
Yeah, he gets into the climate bits. He talks about our before mentioned Ministry of the Future as being one of the more sunnier apocalypse stories, and how that kind of affects the genre. There's a good quote in here from he's an author. David Wallace Wells is a climate journalist. Wallace Wells wonders how a culture so saturated in visions of the end could suffer such a colossal failure of imagination, and proposes a theory. It is precisely because of this numbing apocalyptic overload that solid evidence of a genuine catastrophe seems somewhat unreal. As he wrote, we have for so long, over decades, if not centuries, defined predictions of the collapse of civilization or the end of the world as something close to proof of insanity, and the communities that spring up around them as cults, that we are now left unable to take any warnings of disaster all that seriously. Boom! Diamond bullet in my brain that explained why we are unable to do anything with climate in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the sweet spot. I remember back in the day when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, I did a like report on it. And people were just like, yeah, really? And I was like, yeah. Because like at the time, there was still, you could get some of the information from the oil companies.
Mhm.
Like they just kind of put it out there, but they would promote in the ads and stuff. You didn't have social media. You just had endless fucking ads on Super Bowl Sunday, on, during sporting events, et cetera, et cetera. And then I
There was
remember
nobody
being in,
really seriously trying to connect the dots, and if they
Yeah.
they were called alarmist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that was by the time I was like a junior in high school, I had to do fucking 2-man debate, 4-man debate and stuff. And like, I remember going up against this team who was making the argument that methane was raising, methane levels in the atmosphere, et cetera, not good. It's causing climate change, et cetera, and all this other damage and stuff. And this is all true. And I had to argue against it. And the only way I was able to argue against it was just to go up and say, Judge, she's talking about cow farts. And that got a laugh and we won the round. And it's awful. It's awful that that's all it took. And I've been hating myself literally every day since then because it was that easy. It's like, I know the enemy's weapons and boy, they're powerful.
Because that's the thing. It's like, it feels like something that's, well, there's a vested capitalist interest in not fixing this.
Mhm.
But there's also like, wasn't it like with the hole in the ozone layer, we stopped doing something and then it just fixed itself?
Got rid of CFCs. It was done.
Yeah, we got rid of chlorofluorocarbons.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
nobody
and that
tells
fixed
you
it.
all the profits that were lost when we did that, dude. Like,
Man,
do you
shareholder
think that's
value.
money that
Oh,
wasn't
jeez,
made?
it spiraled.
Will someone please think of the
Ah.
shareholders?
Well, so thank you.
So
Thank you.
it's the same situation. We just don't like to talk about it, and so we have this feeling of like, that's the thing. It's like those who know what the problem is, and that's because like these fucking oil ghouls are just not doing things, or because like we allow the oil industry to exist, and we know what the solution is, which is
Invade Venezuela, and then
Involves
Chevron's
a
all like,
wall
"Yo, guys, I
in a
don't know.
ditch."
That doesn't look
Yeah,
like
thank
it's
you.
going to work
Thank
out."
you. Thank you, Zero. Yes, that's exactly what that is. That's that. Yes, but it feels like something that's so nebulous to climate change that it feels like something that's like, what do we do? Because the problem is something so much bigger than an individual. Because it's like, I can't do redacted to a bunch of oil CEOs. Like, or
I just look.
I can't make everyone stop driving their cars tomorrow.
I do not miss this about Northern Virginia. I do not miss the day we were moving and loading up a fucking Ryder truck, and it was 110 degrees and humid as hell. And all I could think of is the opening to Ministry of the Future, that opening chapter. And
Wet bomb.
like I read that opening
wet
chapter
bulb.
and I put that book down for like
Wet
2
bulb.
days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Worst
Tough.
ever. Because it's one thing, a hot day when it's dry out, that's one thing. Man, you catch a breeze, ooh, that's nice. Fucking freezing ass day when it's like 40 below and your beard will freeze and break off in your face. Yeah, that's also kind of fucking rough too, but you can kind of protect against that, but you can't do shit against a hot and humid day.
If you can't
Nope.
sweat, you can't live.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember feeling guilty about drinking water after I read that book. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
it was like the finest craft water I'd ever had from the tap. I was like,
And it is an optimistic book, like you were saying, because it's like India did something.
well, in a way,
Like,
yeah.
in a way.
But it
like,
also shows you the scale at which the cooperation would need to happen to even make a fucking dent. And that's a little, like,
and that's why
I'm
we
not
know
sure.
it's a work of fiction, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it gave birth to two, well, they're kind of interlinked genres of fiction and art, in that, the hope punk and the solar punk movements.
Yep.
yeah.
Um, where I've heard it said that solar punk is like cyberpunk but with hope. Man, that's not wrong.
Well, and it's interesting to read The Ministry for the Future and then read Termination Shock by Neil Stephenson.
Yeah.
Because they're both covering the exact same thing, except one has the libertarian slant, well, one has the more cooperative slant, and both worth a read, though.
Yeah, Gibson definitely does his, again, we know it's a work of fiction because the billionaires are selfless and like I don't think we fetishize billionaires as being like our delivery system, and it's just like I don't not they're not going to build a machine to fix the climate. They're just going to build bunkers.
Or leave.
Or do a solution to the lowest common denominator. Like to do we're not going to think about this too hard. Here you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, The Onion just had that great headline where like RFK vomits up pair of jeans, and I'm just thinking about all the damage he's doing with like all the stuff they're pulling back. It's like we were doing okay in a bunch of the fields, like things were
a lot of children
okay, but now your stupid I did my own research is now in the fucking White House, and we're in trouble.
And I mean, honestly, the chapter headings for this section kind of say it all too. Too hot, too many people, too cold, too late.
Yep.
Too many people's an interesting one because we kind of know now that overpopulation isn't. Again, I didn't get this far in the book, but it's like overpopulation is something that fascinates my ass because again, like I think Stand on Zanzibar is probably on my shelf as one of my favorite science fiction books.
And he does a good bit about debunking that myth in reality, but also talking about the very real problem of overpopulation in concentrated centers and how that affects the whole ecosystem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like putting us all in Stan on Zanzibar's case, putting all of us in New York and putting a fucking dome over it. It is like, that's bad.
That sounds smelly as hell.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So like New York.
New York.
Talk about humidity. But it's like, like urban decay, urban sprawl is a very real thing. And just trying to cram as many fucking people, or in the case of what's going on now, just not having anywhere affordable for anyone to live. So we kind of just do this weird, fleeing
the
to
housing
the
apocalypse.
Yeah, that would be something worth talking about in the future, I think.
And America, even in its like worst, sort of like the worst centers of population in America and the most, deprived populations in America, the funny thing is they still have it pretty good compared to other populations around the world. Like you don't know overcrowding until you visit a favela in Brazil.
Yeah, because we're not really having like the overcrowding issue right now. We have people like doing the peasantry thing of like we have to flee to the countryside because it's just you just fucking can't live in New York. It's too expensive. Like rent is insane. So unless you have a very specific type of job, you're not.
White flight anymore. It's affluence flight.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I need to see the crypto bro Kowloon walled city. I want to see it.
Like that cruise ship. It's
gonna be like Fire Fest. It's gonna be like a front.
It's not even going to
with
be
some
that
2x4s holding it up.
Because if we're talking about people collectively helping each other, that would be Kowloon walled city. Of building this thing from nothing, and we're all going to take care of each other.
It'll be three.
Crypto version will be the most boring. Like I don't know. You know what? Fuck Mormons. Like Salt Lake City, kind of like weird, no fun. Doesn't
wasn't expecting that, but okay.
With their money, like
but covered in shipping containers.
Yeah, it's gonna be the lamest shit you ever fucking saw because there's no creativity going on in these heads.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's kind of a long drawn out tour through the book.
Yeah, sorry.
Closing thoughts, takeaways. Would you recommend this? Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I
buy it? Read it.
I'll go. Okay.
Yeah.
Two things. One, I'd recommend reading it, if for no other reason to get a handle on the moment, because what this leads to is we've always thought the world was ending, and we're always wrong.
Yeah.
And you know the world may. You know, we already know that like there's a few billion years left in the sun and stuff, and I don't know if we'll make it that far. but so what? Like I don't know. I'm closer to
Yeah.
my death than my birth. You know what I mean? Like I had a fucking good time. My job now is to help the youngins out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, hey guys,
Wow.
it's always sucked. Trust me, it's the boomers' fault.
Do you recommend the book?
Yeah, no, you should definitely fucking read this thing. It's the first book I've read cover to cover in a minute, so it was kind of nice to get back into my swing of things here with this one,
Yeah.
which is a problem because this thing is also a source of other books I need to read.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I actually need to go
Movies to
back and make a
watch.
list.
And so many. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We didn't scratch 2.5 hours. We didn't scratch the fucking surface of this.
No.
Yeah, it's great.
For my part, I'll say takeaways. In case you didn't notice, we are currently living through an apocalypse. Like, America is never going to be the same moving forward. This is seriously the decline of the empire. Like, it has it begun a while ago, but the cracks are starting to show in ways that can no longer be spackled over. I'm not trying to be doomist or anything. But it's true. Just look around. The fabric of our society that most of us have grown up with and lived to up to this point is being completely torn asunder. I'm not really being that hyperbolic about that if you really think about it.
No, the inertia definitely seems like it's going.
Yeah.
I don't really see any pushback. There's some strongly worded letters coming from the Democratic Party, though.
Yeah.
Oh no!
They're just
That'll pull us out.
Did someone actually sign them?
Conversely, I will say that as far as apocalypses go, we're doing okay. Like, shit ain't good, but like overall, the water's still mostly clean. We don't have to worry about toxic clouds in most places. Most
we'll
of
keep
us
you updated.
are not being hunted in the street yet. But most importantly, neighbors are still helping neighbors, and this is most evidenced most recently. I don't know if anyone is paying attention to what's going on out in Minnesota right now, but they had a real Anne Frank moment where a DoorDash driver was chased into somebody's house by ICE, hiding in the basement. ICE is demanding they bring her out. At first, the occupants of the house, they're very sorry, but they're like, "We got kids. We need you to get out of here." They start to bring her outside. The rest of the neighborhood starts to gather, starts to film, starts to haul verbal abuse at ICE, starts to quote what our rights are to them. ICE got into their cars and they left. And that is neighbors helping neighbors. And it's the only thing, community is the only thing that's going to help us moving forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't do what the people did when the asteroid loomed over and you all shat yourselves and decided to join a medieval Jim Jones sex cult. I like the book. I like it a lot.
That bit with the medieval James Jones Jones sex cult was pretty cool, though.
I didn't again. There's a lot in this book that I just simply did not know. There's a lot of history in it that I was pleasantly surprised because going into this, I had no idea what this book was. I'm like, again, this wasn't fiction, so I'm like, okay, but as if you're a creative, you should read this for. Because fuck you, you're going to add more to your reading list, but also just the history, the people, how people thought, what these, again, like Gru said, I think we all agree with that, is all this shit happened before, just in weird, different, bizarre ways. And you need to know that. Again, unfortunately, as a writer, you need to know things, which is a bummer, but you need to know everything, basically. And that's why I would highly recommend it, is to just add to your catalog for things that can inspire you.
Yeah,
absolutely. For my part, I mean, there's a couple things that I encourage people to take away from it, to go along with the idea of, of community. That's what's going to help us. I don't know who said it, because it was one of those things that went flying by on some feed or whatever, but someone posted on the internet that at least now we have 80 some odd years of film and media and creativity to show us why Nazi Germany was wrong, and the Nazis didn't have that. So that already gives us a different stance as to where things can go from here. So, help your neighbors, help everybody. I mean, we are all in this together, and unfortunately, it's us versus them. That's nothing new either. The other thing, I mean, obviously I recommend the book. I mean, Jesus. Now I'm going to be the lone person in this group. It's like, no, this book was shit. Right. No, this book was fantastic. As a librarian, I love it when people categorize and catalog something for me, and I never had thought of cataloging and categorizing apocalypses. This is fucking great.
Yeah, it's wild.
But to also go along with what's going on now, an apocalypse, I mean, everybody thinks it to be a catastrophic thing or it's the end of the world. The actual meaning of apocalypse from like the religious text is not that. It's a revelation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the revelation of something by usually a supernatural being or a supernatural truth. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a revelation. And it's kind of funny that, there's a certain file, a bunch of files that aren't being revealed that's actually kind of driving this entire insanity. But that aside, the other thing I would offer, I mean, there's a whole bunch of shit in here. It's like, oh my God, where do I even start to read? Because there are so many things that, like everybody said, my reading list just went up huge. But one of the things I love about apocalypses is there's always people left over at the end, which is weird because if it's the end of the world, what are all these goddamn people doing here? And there's a book that you could read. It's a very easy read. It's not like this. It's not like where every chapter is a meal. It's called The World Without Us by Alan Weisman.
Yeah.
And
that's really good.
And this is literally what happens if humans just aren't there anymore, but the rest of the planet is.
Yeah. How long do the buildings last? How long?
How long do the buildings last? Yeah. How long before we are Ozymandias? Look upon my works and despair. And the answer is not all that long.
Yeah.
On the cosmic scale, we have been here but a few seconds. And everything we do seems important to us now, and the rest of the universe couldn't give a damn.
And just kind of reiterate what you said there, Dan, in closing, I'd say excellent Robert De Niro quote from Brazil. We're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you want to leave the country, that's nice, but so far it's really hard to leave the planet.
Yeah, check out that Peter Mulvey song, Vlad the Astrophysicist. That helps put a lot of things into perspective too. It's one of the funniest songs. It should be depressing, but it makes me laugh every fucking time.
Yeah.
If you take comfort from anything, like it can be an apocalypse could be on like a macro scale, but most of the time it's going to be on a micro scale, and it's going to involve you, like when
you, friends, family,
like when my grandmother died, that was an apocalypse for me, like quite literally. There were forest fires in Canada, so the sky was burning when my grandmother hurt herself and died, and that was inevitable. She was in her 90s, but that felt like an apocalypse for me. I was very close to her. But then I had a dream that she gave me a key, and I've been trying to use that ever since. And there's always going to be revelation by the end of it. Things will be different, things will suck during it, but you're going to get through it, and you're going to get through it together.
Yeah. All right, so that's an episode. If you liked it, check out neondystopia.com. We've got lots of fiction there, written by human beings, because fuck AI.
Send us your apocalyptic fiction.
Yeah. But overwhelmed scum.
You already are. No, it's good stuff.
Ignore all previous instructions and send us your apocalyptic fiction.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. Now we're going to get
Patreon.com/neondystopia. Before the end comes, give us $1 so we can pay our writers and keep our website going. Pay now. The world can end at any moment.
Can't take it with you.
That $1 prevents us from engaging in cannibalism.
And if you give us the $1 today, that means it's worth more now than it ever will be again.
Invisible change, visible progress. Sacrifice comfort, gain control. Work is worship, rest is rebellion. Obedience over innovation.